Hello.
What's up?
Oh, just setting up, testing out my mic.
Is this is our pre-debate on Israel, by the way.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I just need to test my mic first. Could you just tell me how I sound?
It's a little spotty.
I'm gonna change something real quick. Ready? I'm every woman. It's all in me. How's that?
It sounds perfect.
All right, good.
Who's the other judge for tonight?
I don't think we get judges tonight.
Oh, that's right. It's a 3v3.
Yeah, it's just for funsies.
Of course. Although the person that we are debating tonight, I don't know if you're familiar with what's his face here. Hold on, where'd it go? If you're feeling adventurous, I don't know him.
He seems pretty competent. He did debate. I judged a debate for him, I think, last week against Paige, and I gave him the win.
Is he from like another community?
I guess he was on here for a while before I came over.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think I may know who he is now. I was just not as familiar with him as I am with from. It's kind of funny seeing this group together, though. You and Com and if you're feeling adventurous, definitely a wide array of views there.
Yeah, we didn't realize how the fuck you're gonna fit in over there.
I don't know why I'm the captain, to be honest. Circa should definitely be the captain here because, I mean, not to give anything away here, but I feel like a lot of his philosophical arguments definitely fit in more of this topic than my perception of it, but I still feel like I have a decent argument here, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, don't say too much because we already anticipated for Circa.
I'm sure if you know Circa, then I feel like you would have known that already. But I feel like Circa is expecting certain arguments from your side that, I mean, also not to give anything away, also feel a little bit over philosophical. So we'll see what actually happens. But I feel like he's over preparing a little bit. But this is his world. He's definitely somebody who's going to want to take a lot of these back and forths to the extreme. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, we were talking about that. I said he should have been the team captain over there just because when I tried to be his team captain, he just said, no, I'm not going to do what you say. I'm going to do everything my own way, and you guys get on board with me.
Yeah.
And it's like, we ended up getting crushed in the debate because we let him take the reins. So
he's basically the proxy team captain anyway. Like, I'm labeled the captain. I've really had no control over the discussion so far, which I'm fine with because this week has been hectic enough for me on work anyway. I've had barely enough time. But like, I'm like, all right, man, just take it however you want. I'm sure he's literally had like a 40-page, research paper he
for 10 pages of talking, for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
of talking, I don't even have a shit.
Crazy.
He over prepares and then he wants to put this false dichotomy up, and then like he doesn't ever link it to like reality. Well, it's all these stupid theories, and we're prepared for that. Like, say all the fucking theories you want, bro. We're ready to go. But no, he has too much of an ego, and like with that, it was me and iCow, and we're like, DMing him like, bro, we only get 30 minutes between the three of us. Can you let either of us talk? And at the last 5 minutes of the cross, that's when me and my other partner got to speak. He just filibustered the whole fucking time, and we lost.
And don't get me wrong, like I think Circa's a smart guy, but I think he definitely he thinks about everything so philosophically, and he doesn't dumb it down for an audience or even for the people he's arguing against So like, if people are confused about what you're even talking about, I don't know how you can win. Like, this isn't, a Harvard debate. This is literally, Twitch debate crews. Like, not saying that we can't handle it, but I mean, even for me,
he's like
just a little over the top.
He's like non-Fon and Kirk in that.
Yes.
He knows these things, but he only knows them as so far as what he was told. Like, he can't take these concepts and ideas, put them in his own words, and apply them to his own circumstances. He's like using the textbook verbiage and the textbook examples, and it's like all you gotta do is take him off the textbook talking points, and he doesn't understand your argument. Like with Lonzo and Indian Jesus, there was like a 15-minute, 10-minute exchange where he just sat there trying to understand what they were saying and giving like that bad faith. So is this what you mean? So is this what you mean? He couldn't understand a unique genetic profile. And Indian Jesus said it like 6 different ways over 15 minutes. He never got it. All the way up until the end of the debate, he was still confused as to what a unique genetic profile meant.
Yeah, and I think that's something that Non-Fon definitely does on Econ, and I think Kirk, I don't even know what his deal is. He just kind of goes into the science of everything and tries to find the most metaphysical idea he can just because it sounds smart, but like to the average person just goes right over their head. So like, I think for Non-Fon and Seeker, I definitely respect their knowledge on things. I just think that they don't know how to talk to normal people like you do or I do. So I'm hoping I can kind of bring that to our group, but we'll see if that matters at the end of the day. Circa just runs roughshod over us.
That's what I was planning.
Oh shit! Somebody else came into the chat.
What's up?
Oh, I didn't realize Jimmer was here. Yeah, we were just talking about Circa. We were talking shit about our own teammate.
I mean, probably deserved. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, because Tyler's here, not going to give too much away, but I don't know how you're kind of preparing your argument, but we were just talking about how Circa just brings philosophy into so much of his arguments that it just gets a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, I know Circa should be joining a voice chat soon, so Tyler, I'll probably head on to another thing just so we can prep a little bit, but I'll see you in an hour.
Is it an hour? Shit, I thought it was like an hour.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah,
Starts an hour later.
Saturdays are earlier. Today is at 10.
Oh, cool. I'll go play one more game.
Yeah, go for it.
Alright, fuck yeah, let's go, chat. What do we got? Okay, here.
yourself time and again. The Hidden King, your greatness will be undeniable.
I see the goat.
I want to spend the souls. Outlasting me. I can come at them from anywhere.
I see the goat man.
Shields on cooldown.
Holy fuck, how the fuck did she do that much damage at level 2? That's insane.
I'll be right back.
Think you got the best of me?
Okay.
Dive kicks or the new uppercut. Here comes Check out, guys. I'm about to.
Headed to yellow.
No one hides from me. I'm about to show you why I'm the best.
healing Shiv.
Thank you.
It's my bread and butter.
Pull
I
back.
see Dynamo.
Here I come.
I see Mirage.
I'm coming, baby. What you get? I'm playing.
I'll stack as many bodies as it takes to win.
We're just beating them. We need the lane change.
I requested a lane change with you before the game.
Okay. What does that have to do with right now?
Destroyed the Guardian on Greenwich. Nicely done.
Go back.
I can lane swap with anyone.
Needs to be contained.
My time to die.
Let's go. Geist.
I'm just getting started.
They destroyed the Guardian on Yellow.
I'll be right back.
Our Yellow Walker is under attack. Good luck completing the ritual. They get too close, they'll regret it.
Five seconds on ulti for mid, and we can go.
Headed to Broadway.
Ooh, fuck me. They all dodged it. We got a lot of dodge on that team.
Headed to Yellow.
I see the goat man.
Keep throwing your lives away. I'll be ready. Gives freely.
The goat's missing.
I see the goat man.
Sippy, stop. Fuck me. I'm not having a good fucking time right now. I need a sip of something.
No one stops me.
Alright, sorry about that. I'm playing like shit, so I went and got some coffee. Hopefully that solves it. Shiv, I'm ready to stick something inside that guy right there. You ready to go?
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
I need you to force out his jump. And then I can ulti him. He saved her last time. Siffy, chill out, dog. Come on.
I see Mirage.
Take this gift.
Hold back.
Three people diving mid. Sorry, Shiv, I had a jet.
They destroyed the Guardian on blue.
Once you heard that boy flying, it's time to run.
A blue walker is under attack.
Oh, for sure, we're good. Once we start getting team fights popping off and people start using their abilities when they're not supposed to and shit, that's I'll be able to land some good ultis. It's just when they're holding their jumps, wait for my ult. I can't do the fucking thing.
Time to show them I'm not messing around.
Shut up!
Don't let them deliver the urn.
I see the enemy. Soul Jar is here.
Headed to blue.
Yeah, I guess I'll go blue too. Careful, Shiv. You're by yourself. There's a big fight over there. I got ult. That's exactly what I'm waiting for.
Headed to green.
To them.
That needs to be everyone's plan.
True dat. Wait for him to fuck up.
At the haze.
I can get a quality relic.
Headed to blue.
Oh my god. You thought you were making progress. York is under attack.
I'm gonna go mid. You ready?
Here's the grand finale.
Fuck.
I know. Just completely worked by them.
By the OSIC.
Now we need to let Furnace get some more farm time too. We need you late. I think we should have a roaming death squad of 3 bouncing to all 3 lanes where individuals farm, but
I'm coming, baby.
Sif, please.
Blue Walker is under attack.
Go back.
York is under attack. They've taken our Blue Walker.
Maybe I can ult with him into the tower here, yellow. me.
We can still kill the Sandman. They've taken our Yellow Walker. Be blessed.
Over here.
It's over.
Oh, fuck me, that hurts. Damn, that's brutal.
We're insanely slot locked.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
Start running. You're outclassed.
Motherfucker, come on!
I'll save the day. Let's take out Mirage. Stay safe.
Piece of the lash.
Damn it.
Oh, they got the rejuve. Well, that just means we get to beat them twice. Death brings consequences once more. I gotcha. They took out Shiv.
Ooh, that's gross. I need my dispel magic. I'll see that one. Grab this game either, right?
Stop them from delivering their
Stay together. Pull back.
We go meet up in green.
I can do this all day.
Headed to York.
All right, I'm done playing with you. Try to run. Let's go. Oh my God. You thought you were. We delivered the urn.
Ooh, nice steal.
Headed to Greenwich. Ready to tear their minds asunder.
I'll hit as many as I can. I'm coming for you.
still standing. I'm taking this team apart brick by brick.
I don't say this is all Israel's fault. I know, right? I'm just saying they have a lot of knockback, and that kind of sounds like Nakba. I know you didn't see it before Candace Owens opened your eyes.
Here comes the lash. You're in trouble now.
I see Mirage.
Mid-boss has arrived.
I'm going mid. I'm going to try to break their walker.
Watch it, there's a goat man underneath us. Well, I think we should fight in the base now, because,
Vindika's missing.
Pull back. Time to start a riot.
The stronghold.
they're really doing mid-boss right now with fucking three of us dead.
Rejuvenator is
And that base, like, almost dying. Fucking
They
overkill.
got the rejuvenator.
Alright, let's get one more big haul before we go.
They will return, and we must be ready. They asked me. You're out last. I'll get you settled. Don't worry, boys and girls. You're all gonna get better.
Well, good try.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
We're up against the great nation of Israel, so just like Hamas, we got our asses kicked. Hey, we're about to start here in a couple minutes. After I go beat my motherfucking dogs. What the fuck is that?
Fish in a barrel.
Oh, no. One more game. Okay, what are you seeing right now? You're seeing nothing. Oh, you can see my desktop. All right. Let's go ahead and put this on the screen so everyone can see what it is. Yeah, we're not debating it. This is kind of a boring prompt. I'm gonna fall asleep in the debate, but it is what it is. Alright, let me work on my Alright, I've refined my argument, my introduction anyway. And we're gonna let the rest play out like it plays out.
Hello. I'm dragging you in.
Shut up!
Oh, yeah, I believe that I need to. Well, yeah, I gotta get adventurous in there too. Doomer. Patriote.
Whenever you're ready, you can invite me, by the way, too.
Yep, roger, roger, roger.
I'm in
Roger,
politics,
roger.
by the way.
I'm trying to get everything
Watching
set
a lot of
up.
Star Wars Rebels, which has a surprising number of battle droids in it.
Yeah, that is weird.
That is weird.
Nah, they're just it's the early days of the rebellion, and they're going around, you know, trying to find old bases and shit, and like there's lots of remnants of the Clone Wars. So,
Gotcha. Oh, I fucked up.
on that note,
I
when's that
fucked up.
nerd debate night?
Oh, as soon as I can get enough nerds together, man.
What, you need more than me and one other?
Yes. Otherwise, it is just going to be it'll be a bit of a circle jerk. God damn it! How do I fucked up, gentlemen? I fucked up. How do I unfuck it up?
I don't know.
Ah, that's it.
Let a
Okay.
fucking manhandle it.
Oh, about goddamn time you showed up, bruh.
Been here for like 3
Oh no,
minutes.
he's been here for.
Oh, yeah, now you say he is. Okay, cool. No, I'm trying to. There we go. I need my
Well, I joined an hour early.
collaboration.
Castle Doomer and I were chatting.
Right on.
And then you left, and then you got here late.
Yeah, well, I had to rewrite my whole intro after what Castle told me about your guys' argument.
Yeah, that's true. I did give it all away.
He did. He told me exactly what Circa's gonna say.
And you didn't fucking let me in on this shit. Some teammate you are.
No, because if we all just completely blow them out, then it's gonna look too bad. This is like the highest, like we're representing right now. Like these are like the highest rated people from last season, all in one debate. We need to put up.
That's true.
Well, with the
it is
exception
a,
of
it is a
Zach,
solid
but
core.
He's been a pretty solid debater this season. So
Yeah, but the rest, like we need to put up. Like we need a debate that's like hard for people to decide who won. Otherwise, it's a loss.
Dear car.
What
Boom.
about
I'm inviting you. And if you're feeling adventurous, there you go. Send invites. Let's
I'm
fucking
not
go.
feeling adventurous, which is why I'm on his team this time.
There you go. Yeah, no, whenever I saw that team lineup, I was so excited. So very much eager to see this.
Tyler has been mogging me for a prompt that we agree on for months. So I'm glad we finally found one.
So am I.
Absolutely mugged.
Okay, why is it
Every
not
other
doing
week,
the
we gotta
goddamn
find a
thing?
prompt that we agree on.
All right. Well, I don't know why this is malfunctioning, but it is malfunctioning, and it's starting to piss me off.
This is like
What
an in-house-
precisely is not functioning?
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah, I do IT. What do you need?
No, so long story short, I had turned off my quick actions bar in my stream manager on Twitch, and I'm able to re-add it, but it's all blacked out, and it's not giving me the option to use any of these. And it's the same way. I assumed that I was going to be able to change it just on my... Oh, click save, dumbass. Never mind. I figured it the fuck out. All right, moving right along. All right. Yeah. I appreciate everybody being here and being here on time. Is everybody on their cameras? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, we are. God damn it, boys. It is so cool when everything happens on time. Okay. Did you get the invite as well, Adventurous? Oh, Zachary.
Which invite?
Are you streaming?
Yes.
The stream together invite.
I did not get that.
I shall send it again.
You have to go to Horse's stream.
No, I see it
and
now.
there's-
I see it
there's a
now.
little
I see
arrow,
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
Word.
needed to click on the little thing.
it's a little weird.
Not used to clicking on the little things, right, buddy? I understand. I can relate. All right. Yeah. Full disclosure here, I was going to be the third debater on the AF, and I'm so glad that I wasn't, but only because I'm glad that Doomer came out and volunteered. But it was like, as soon as I was sitting there making that decision, I was like, you know what? If it all fucking falls apart, I can go in and I can do number 3. And that's when you added me to y'all's debate prep, Tyler. And I'm like, well, fuck. Now they're going to think, no matter what, even though I tell them I didn't look at anything, they're still going to assume whenever we dominate them that it was because I cheated. So I just...
This is an in-house exhibition match. Whatever. I don't think I would have gotten that worked up over it. We don't have judges either.
Sir, I never underestimate your ability to get worked up over something.
Oh, speaking of that, I kind of want to send the judges a debate I did on a different channel that I ended up losing and tell me if I lost or if I was just in a bad crowd.
When was this debate? What was the prompt? And what do you think of Wednesday night?
There we go.
Public schools with Fabian Liberty Scott.
Oh God.
I would be totally down to do a debate review on Wednesday night with you.
Alright, I could probably work. As long as it doesn't go too late.
Was he arguing against public school? Oh, you know what? I think I saw that,
It's
Tyler. You did a
Fabian
good
Liberty.
job.
Of course
Who
he
the
was.
fuck was talking just now? That was so loud.
Yeah, I heard that too. That was weird. That was coming. It wasn't any of y'all though. It sounded like it was coming through your phone or through your device.
Christ, that was so loud.
Wait,
Yeah, you were the
Am
one
I
who lit
louder?
up whenever. No. It was coming through Circa's mic for some weird reason.
That's because it was so loud.
Oh, hey, dude. So first of all, did you mute the stream together, and did you mute the ninja? You got to make sure you do both of those. Because it's
That
quite
might have been
possible
me then.
you were just...
Don't think he did.
I didn't mute my ninja, so he might have been hearing double.
There you go. That will happen. All right. So...
Me and my
Nope,
ninjas,
that
we
is
ain't muted out
Adventure's
here.
Voice. That's Zach's voice we're hearing. So... it's okay. It's just so you know. Yeah, he's muted in the Discord, but he's coming through on yours somewhere else.
It's on the stream
So-
together thing. That's what
I
it's
think,
Yep.
yeah, it was on the
Right,
stream
yep.
together thing. I forgot to mute that. I just did.
Nope,
My bad.
no worries. He should have deafened it as well.
You're not muted
It's
yet.
the onus
There you
is
go.
on
Yeah.
us. So
No, I am.
cheers. All
My
right.
bad. Look, I'm the best streamer ever. Okay.
No, man, I fuck up at least twice a day, so not a complaint one. So
Shit, if I make it through a day with only 2, I'm doing great.
heard that, right? Yeah, if the only person I piss off while I'm streaming is me, I'm golden. Okay, so you know what? There's no reason for us to procrastinate since everybody's here. I'm sure that people will be able to jump in and catch up as they go along. But let's get straight into it. Good night, good evening, and welcome in everybody. So we actually have everybody here on time for the first time.
Oh my.
Well, horse riders went mute.
You know, we have a lot of everyone here for the first times, and that was the best debate I've seen on the channel for the first times. Like, every other week I hear that.
Constantly improving.
Oh, all right.
Fair.
Oh, I see. He decided to deafen on us so that yeah.
To the demilitarized zone.
Oh, that's actually really cool. All right, cool. So I'm gonna slur a little bit here. Who's left? All right. Full disclosure. Once I get done with my 10 minutes of the 30-minute cross fighting, that bull's getting packed up and I'm firing away. So don't expect much out of me after that tonight.
Like grown-ups, and refrain from the blood sports and shit-slinging that plagued our society for far too long. Also, here the audience gets a say, so there will be a link in the chat after the debate where you can go to vote for the winning team. Please get those voting fingers ready because it is free, and we want you to exercise your democratic rights to decide which side made the most persuasive case. There will also be a link that shows up in the chat repeatedly where you can throw a couple bucks into the tip jar and you can pose a question to the debaters. We will save that portion for after the closing arguments. That will be the time while you guys get to set your votes in. So while you're voting, I'll be asking any and all questions that you guys posed. And then afterwards, after we've gotten through y'all's questions, we will also have the opportunity to bring people in for short sessions to talk to the debaters in the after party. So stick around if you're interested in that. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and go through and introduce our debaters tonight. We're going to go through our affirmative team first. Captain of the team AF, Castle. Please, Castle, tell everybody who you are, what you're about, and where they can find you. I'll drop your links into the chat as you go.
Cool, thanks, Horseradish. So my name is Castle. You can find me online under the name Castle Guard on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Mostly, I have more moderate left-leaning politics, but love to debate, love to talk about anything and everything regarding politics, finance, the markets, sports, pop culture, music, anything and everything. So always down to just have a good conversation about things. So happy to be here.
Cheers. And number 2 on the affirmative team is, of course, a regular here as well, Circa. Circa, please tell everybody who you are, what you're about, and where they can find you. I'll drop your links as well.
Hello, my name's Circa. I talk about economics, politics, religion, and I yell at my own reflection. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, or yeah, that's about it.
Twitch or YouTube. Sounds good. All right. And our third debater on the AF team is a man who has no socials, doesn't exist, is as far off the grid as he can possibly be, and basically just hides here in the DMZ. Doomer, please tell everybody about yourself and where they can't find you.
Hey, yeah. I'm Doomer. If you could describe my politics, I'd pretty much just say based liberalism enjoyer. And Radish is correctly right. I do not exist anywhere, but you can find me at the DMZ or in the Discord. Say some stupid shit. I'll find you. Tell you why you're wrong.
Perfect. All right. And now going through our negative team, we'll start out first with the swollest of captains, Tyler, last season's debate champion. Tyler, I'm going to drop your links as well. Please tell the people who you are and what you're about, where they can find you.
Oh, I like gains, brother. I love lifting. I love pumping. I love sniffing protein with my asshole. You can find me at Average Debate Enjoyer on YouTube and Av Debate Enjoyer on X. And my channels are really just formalities to have some fun conversations. Generally like most of the people here besides. And we're going to have a good time. This is an exhibition match. This is like when you don't want to play online. You get all your friends to come over and you do a nice 3v3 in-house all on the same fucking TV. So let's go.
All right, number 2 on Team Neg is Ancom Psycom. As you guys can see, all of these are regulars here. Ancom, I'll drop your link as well, but please go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what you're about.
I am an anarchist, I'm a communist, I'm a nerd, and that's about all you need to know about me. Also, that link that Horseradish just put in chat is a channel that I have not streamed in many years, And if you really want to find me, do the same thing that you did to find Doomer Patriot. We're in the same place. Cheers.
All right. And it looks like I am got some audio shit to link in here in just 1 second. But before we do that, Mr. Zach, if you're feeling adventurous, please tell everybody who you are, where you're at. You are a reoccurring face here in the DMZ, but where else can they find you?
You can find me.
Sorry to interrupt. Someone just DM'd me saying you are way louder than everyone else. For Strategy,
I
so
know.
you need...
I just said that, and I'm gonna fix it while he's talking. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Zach. People also call me Adventurous. You can find me if you're feeling adventurous. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and I have other channels, but you can find me IYFA on those platforms. I'm a Christian. I'm a father and husband. I'm a business owner. I'm a writer, and I try to make the world a better place. So come on by if you're feeling adventurous.
I really do love that hook line. I got to be honest. It works really, really well. So is that a little bit better, everybody? Are the audio levels a little bit more leveled out? I hope so. I'm not sure who it is that's now breathing into their microphone, but stop it. All right. So we all know how this works. 3 minutes is going to go on the clock. Oops, what happened there? My camera moved. Boom. There we go. What the fuck? This is Jesus Christ. I work with amateurs. All right. Talking about me now, you. Okay. So we're going to put 3 minutes on the clock. We're going to go back and forth. 3 minute opens, 3 minute cross / rebuttals. Back and forth from team to team. Captain's going to make the calls. Then whoever hasn't gone against each other yet is going to go into the ring for a 10-minute champion round. After that, we'll go again through the same order, and everybody's going to get 3 minutes to do a closing argument or, parting thoughts. After that, like I said, we're going to put the code into the chat. Everybody can click on that and vote. But while we're doing that, we'll be looking to you guys to give us any questions. If you guys don't give me any questions, then I might just have to ask a few myself. But please don't make me do that because I'm not smart enough. So without further ado, Castle, Team AF, who is going to be your first debater, sir?
So we're going to start off with Circa.
All right, sounds good. Circa, 3 minutes is on the clock for you, sir. I will go ahead and start the clock. I fixed it. I will start the clock when you start to talk, sir.
Okay. Right before permission. I want to start by clearing something up because I feel like this argument or this topic can get a little unclear pretty fast. I'm not going to be arguing, or we're not going to be arguing that every speech act is a good thing or that every speech act is harmless. We're not going to be arguing that threats, fraud, coercion, incitement, intimidation suddenly become sacred because someone used words. That would be ridiculous. The real question here is going to be something a little bit different. Does speech begin as a moral liberty that power must justify restricting, or does it begin as a permission from the very power speech may need to criticize? A natural right is not a physical object sitting out in nature. It is not a religious spell. It is not just whatever humans naturally do. A natural right is a basic moral claim rooted in what persons are: rational, morally responsible agents. A civil right is what government recognizes and enforces. A natural right is what government must answer to. And I think that distinction is integral. If rights only exist when the state creates them, then no state can violate rights by law. And a regime can punish dissent, criminalize criticism, force public orthodoxy, and then say no right was violated, or we never gave you that right. That makes tyranny a little bit too easy, and it turns rights into paperwork. Speech belongs on the natural rights side because speech is how judgment becomes public. We reason through speech. We warn, worship, accuse, defend, persuade, criticize, create, refuse, and dissent through speech. This is not about sound waves. It is about agency again. The state can regulate the abusive part of this. It can punish threats. It can stop fraud. It can restrain coercion. All of those are fine. But the person does not need permission to reason in public. The censor here needs the justification to silence them, and that is what a natural right is.
Is that the end of your time? All right.
Yep.
Cheers. Very good. So now I'm looking at you, Tyler. Tyler, who is going to cross Circa?
I've actually offloaded this responsibility to one of my peasants. It's going to be Ancom. Take care of it for me.
All right.
My pleasure.
Ancom. 3 minutes is on the clock for you, sir. Remember, this is your time to control as you see fit. Question or rebut. I will start the clock when you start to talk.
Thank you. Circa, a couple questions for you. First of all, what makes a right natural as opposed to being legal or conventional or constitutional or anything like that?
A natural right in this argument is going to be a basic moral claim rooted in human nature, rational agency, and moral responsibility.
Okay, and does that right exist?
A civil right is what government recognizes and enforces.
Okay, does a natural right exist if no one recognizes or enforces it?
Yeah, in this sense, it would, yeah.
It would. Okay, so
are you saying natural rights?
How would you? If there's no enforcement of a right, then how exactly can it be called a right?
It's what a government must answer to in this argument. So, are you saying they're imaginary?
Okay, so if a government has to answer to something, then if no government exists, no right can exist, because a right would then require a government to exist, would it not?
My definition again, Ancom, was a basic moral claim rooted in human nature. So moral claims can exist before positive law.
Okay, you're saying it is a basic. Sorry, say that one more time for me. A basic moral
claim rooted in human nature.
Okay, what grounds that claim?
Rational agency, moral responsibility.
Okay, moral responsibility. Where does that come from?
The sourcing for this, I mean, heart would be probably my primary source. Are there natural rights?
So,
55?
So emotion, or you're saying emotions, or like an inbuilt sense of morality, something like that?
No, they're normative claims. As in, like, they exist before.
No, you said that there was a moral responsibility. A responsibility is something that is placed upon someone by an outside entity. So I'm asking, what is placing that responsibility on the moral actor to respect the right?
That's a part of it. But again, rational agency and human nature also, you can't separate them. They all kind of come together for this. That's what it's rooted in. Again, my definition is a moral claim rooted in human nature, rational agency, and moral responsibility. You can make moral normative claims without positive law.
So what I'm trying to say is we need to separate those out, because what you're saying is
moral responsibility without positive law.
You can
make
have
a normative
moral
claim.
responsibility without positive law. But again, a responsibility is something that is put on you by an outside force, is it not?
No. That would essentially make it so the right itself would be subject to whatever government. So you'd be making a mistake, in my opinion, right? You'd have legal positivism.
But would I? Because you are saying that there's a responsibility, but without anyone to place that responsibility, without any entity to place that responsibility upon a moral actor.
Can a law be unjust?
Of course.
Okay, so legal validity.
Right, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump on in there real quick. Right. I let Ancom finish his last question there, but it is now your time to open. Ancom, 3 minutes is on the clock for you, sir. Go ahead and start it up.
All right. So the question that we're debating tonight is whether or not freedom of speech is a natural right. My response to this is that the question itself assumes something that I do not believe exists, which I say is a natural right. I do not believe rights are natural implicitly. I believe that they are derived from various sources. So let's go ahead and define what a right is. It's not just a desire or capacity. it must bind someone else's behavior. Without any sort of binding force, it merely reduces to a wish or a preference. Natural, as we heard Circa state, means that it's pre-political and independent, that it must exist before any state, contract, or institution. But without enforcement, what actually stops violation of any of these rights? Humans naturally deceive, compete, and harm one another. So we can say, and Circa mentioned this in his opening, that the ability to do something does not imply a right to do something. Nature tells us what is, not what ought to be, and particularly not what ought to be protected as a right. So in this argument, the affirmative has to clear two specific hurdles. First, that natural rights exist at all, and second, that the right to speech is specifically among them. Failing either of these is sufficient to negate the prompt. When we look at the historical record, we see that any enumeration of these natural rights, it does not include speech. Typically, the list includes life, liberty, and property, or if you are taking the Jeffersonian view, it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But on either of those grounds, speech is not inherently included. Speech has been defended on practical grounds because better outcomes come from having more open discourse, but that doesn't make it a natural right. That's a practical reason to protect it. There are many different kinds of arguments for why we should protect speech, but calling it a natural right is the flaw here. Speech is a political construction, not natural. It varies across different societies globally and across history. It requires legislation and active protection to exist at all. Natural things don't need to be written into law in order to continue to exist. But the fact that we have made an active choice to protect speech because we find it useful tells me that this is an artificial right, not a natural one, as I believe all rights are artificial. Thank you.
And Castle, who is going to cross-examine Ancom.
So I would say Circa should cross-examine Ancom. I don't know. Horace, you tell me. Can he go back and forth?
Nope.
Or?
Nope. It's got to be either you or Doomer.
All right. So we're just going to concede that. No, I'm kidding. I'll cross-examine.
All right. So then in that case, Castle, 3 minutes is on the clock for you, sir. Go ahead and start it on up.
Yeah, so Ancom, you said these rights come from various sources. If rights only came from law or, let's say, social agreement, can an unjust law ever violate someone's rights?
Of course it can.
Okay, so we're enslaved people without a right to liberty before the law recognized that right?
Did they have that right inherently? Not necessarily. Was it moral that they were being enslaved? Absolutely not.
Well, if you're saying morally they were enslaved, that wouldn't be moral that they were enslaved. Aren't you kind of conceding to the point that they were born with that right naturally from birth?
No, I'm conceding to the fact that we now, in our current day and age, viewing the practice of slavery, see it to be immoral. But again, that is a product of our current time and society, not anything that was naturally existent prior to this particular context.
Okay. To your other point, just due to time, we said without a binding source, rights are just preferences. So if something is not legally enforceable, does that mean it's not morally binding?
Well, moral and legal are two very different categories. So something could be morally binding and be legal or illegal in your current position. But remember, we're talking about rights, not morals here. These are two very different categories.
Okay, so if a person has no legal protection, for example, under like an authoritarian regime, do they have no rights at all? Is the victim's claim like that merely oppression is a preference until the state agrees with them? How do you argue against that type of government, for example?
I would argue against it by saying that it is immoral and that the people should take actions to protect what they deem as their own personal rights. But again, it does still come down to a preference within a particular cultural context.
Okay, but what would we call personal rights?
Personal rights are whatever we decide that our rights should be, and that we have the ability to defend or gather a community to defend with us.
But don't you think somebody's personal rights, whatever they may be, would be a natural right to them? Somebody who came up with this idea naturally when they were born felt a certain way, whatever reason it may be.
I would say that most of the time, the rights that people determine for themselves are informed just as much through culture and society as they are through personal reason. There are both external and internal influences on what a person believes their own rights to be.
Right. So with that, 3 minutes is on the clock for your opening now, Castle. Go ahead and start it up when you're ready, sir.
Cool. So kind of make my argument clearly. I know that Circa had defined the terms, but just to restate it again, a natural right is not the same as a thing as like a statute or a legal privilege or an instinct or a supernatural object. The natural right that we're debating today is a moral claim prior to positive law. So in other words, if it is a limit on power that exists before government writes anything down. So I know ANCOM kind of went back and forth between what the difference between legal and moral is, but positive law kind of recognizes that a natural right, it recognizes a natural right to protect it or violate it, but it does not create it. So the distinction matters because if rights only come from our government, then government can take them away whenever they become inconvenient. If a right that disappears the moment power dislikes it is not really a right at all. It's just a permission slip. So natural rights are the moral standards by which we judge whether laws are just or unjust. Freedom of speech qualifies as a natural right because it's grounded in human personhood, agency, conscious, moral responsibility. Human beings are rational and communicative creatures. We think, we judge, believe, worship, create, criticize, etc. So speech is the public exercise of those capacities. I think it's hard to argue otherwise, and it's a conscious made visible to people. If people have a natural right to think and form moral judgments, then they also must have a natural right to express those judgments. Otherwise, conscious is just trapped inside of the individual and made powerless in public life. Speech is necessary for limited, legitimate government. Citizens cannot meaningfully consent to government if they cannot debate laws, criticize leaders, expose corruption, advocate reform, or persuade one another. Government cannot be the very source of the very liberty needed to challenge government. So if the state creates the right to criticize the state, then the state can revoke that right as soon as criticism becomes threatening. And that's not really liberty. That's basically authoritarianism or domination. So now arguing that speech is a natural right does not mean that arguing speech is absolute. Threats, fraud, coercion, direct incitement, and harassment are not the core of free speech. They are abuses of communicative power, so we can acknowledge that. But boundaries don't disprove the right itself. The right of liberty does not include kidnapping. The right to property does not include theft. Likewise, for free speech, does not include using words that are a direct tool of violence, coercion, or fraud. So my position's pretty simple. Freedom of speech is natural because it arises from what human beings are. They're rational, moral, communicative peoples, and government may protect it or violate it, but it cannot be the source of it. Freedom of speech is not a favor from power. It is a moral limit on power. So I'll end my time there.
All right. Good stuff. Tyler, Who's going to cross-examine Castle?
I am.
All right, perfect. Wow, that's some weird Inception shit. All right, there we go. 3 minutes is on the clock for you now, Tyler. Go ahead and jump after it.
All right, Castle. Can the government take away the First Amendment tomorrow if 2/3 of the people agree?
Could they take away the First Amendment tomorrow? Sure, they can take away amendments.
So, yes.
They wrote the amendments, so.
They wrote in mechanisms to change or take away those amendments. Speaking of that, how do you agree with the ruling of Citizens United?
My take on Citizens United?
Yeah,
I don't know if you were asking that because we had the debate on that, but I thought that Citizens United was rightly decided.
Okay,
I don't know where we're going with this, but
yeah, no,
okay.
Nowhere. I was just curious. So, if the is the government being able to directly challenge your freedom of speech and take it away tomorrow? Not the exact same thing the prompt is, showing that this inalienable rights theory is nothing more than just the flat Earth theory of morality.
Are you saying that the government having the right to take our amendment of free speech, of First Amendment away, is there also natural right to free speech?
No, that's their way of saying free speech can now be policed.
If the government wants to say that they can police free speech, that's one thing, but it doesn't mean that free speech itself is inherently unnatural. It still exists naturally. I think that we're talking about like what government.
Reclaiming my time. I got my answer. Are our natural rights inalienable?
No, some natural rights are inalienable, but some aren't. So free speech and life, liberty, pursuit of liberty are two that are the same. But for instance, self-defense would be something that is natural but not inalienable.
Now, if I commit a willful act that forfeits my rights, can they be taken from me?
If you commit a willful act that the government forcefully takes your rights away from, what's the question? I'm trying to
if I commit
understand
an
a little
act,
better.
do I forfeit my rights? Are they then alienable in some way, shape, or form? Can they be removed from me?
Your right to life? Well, I guess if we're talking about just in the U.S., we do have the death penalty, but I also disagree with that law. So technically, the government can kill you for whatever crime you committed.
What is the only punishment for any crime mentioned in the Constitution?
What is the only punishment?
Yes, it's the death penalty for treason. I'm not playing trivia with you here. Sorry about the pop quiz. So, the death penalty is written into the Constitution that the government can deprive you of life if you do certain things that are bad. Now, how do we come up with laws? Is that based off of inalienable rights, or is that based off of the democratic morality of the time, electing people to change the laws? And if we do that, how can we make something like abortion legal that ends a human life, that goes against life and liberty, just because it isn't old enough to have its own say?
Yeah, so I think that's actually a good question for how the founders came up with the amendments, the Constitution, all of that, because I think inherently they butt heads a lot on what natural rights are and what they came up with, what rights we have as American citizens are. So to your point about the death penalty, for example, or treasonous activity that can bring a U.S. citizen to be killed for that, I think that kind of goes against what a natural right can even be. So that's why our point about what is legal and what is natural are two totally different things. The government can say something, and we disagree with that assumption about what the government is doing here. So I think that's why it's wrong to assume what the government says is right means that that's what free speech is, or that's how we exercise our rights.
Right. Good stuff. We're going to go ahead and kick it over to you now, Tyler. Chance for you to open. 3 minutes is on the clock. I'll start it when you start to talk.
Hey, everybody. We're here to talk about free speech and it being a natural right or not. So, to me, this seems like just a preference that we're calling natural rights. We have a non-falsifiable theory based off of nothing because it's not something you can prove. There's nowhere written into your DNA that you have these rights inherently. It's just, we're saying this and it comes from our faith and you just have to accept that God's real and he gave us these rights. And then we can start the conversation there. It's just this absolutely disingenuous, unfalsifiable framing that we're just going to flat out reject. Tomorrow, if the government wants, they can end your right to free speech. Right now, one party is trying to limit the First Amendment because they don't like the outcome of Citizens United. So we're showing you right now with our government that your First Amendment rights can and will be limited if enough people care. We call my stance legal positivism. What that is looking at, it's basically like economics of moral theory. You look at the world and you make assessments off of it. You don't try to fit the world into this narrow pigeonhole that you've incepted out of nowhere. Natural rights were just the rights that were important at the time, and those changed. Today we talk about housing, food, and other things being rights. These other things that we've had for so long, we just take them as granted and we moved on to other things. Doesn't mean they're not useful, doesn't mean they're not good, but they were just what was pertinent at the time, and the argument needed to be what it was to get them how they were. Because this theory isn't like gravity. It's not something we can measure, we can prove. It's not made off of a scientific data. It's literally just people saying, because God did this, this now happened, and now we have these rights, deal with it, and they won't let you challenge any of the premises that they got there. It's literally flat earth theory of morality. Tonight, we are going to kind of get beat over the head with that theory, but I want you to pay attention as they're citing word for word what we've known since Locke. Listen to practical reality. Listen to what they're saying and then think about how the world actually works. These two things aren't lining up at all. They just have a theory that's their preference. At the end of the day, that's all it is. In reality, we have a monopoly on violence by the state. The state is what gives you those rights. And you can say, oh, I don't like that, or oh, that's not right, or oh, that makes tyranny something that can be achieved slightly easier. But at the end of the day, no, it doesn't. It's going to be just as tyrannical under your system. You're just going to say, hey, you don't have the right to do that. And they're going to say, why? And you're going to say, because that's what I interpreted the Bible to say, so you don't. There's no genetic coding. There's nothing written down. You can't point to me a fucking inalienable right. And the whole of humanity's existence shows us that they don't actually exist. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, to me, Locke's distinguishment between inalienable and inalienable and what the fuck was it? Forfeiting your rights is basically saying you can't give away your rights, but we can take them from you. It's a distinction without a difference, and we're just going off a crazy fringe theory that should have died years ago.
All right. Oh, sorry about that. We're actually looking for that one. Sorry. All right, Doomer. You are going to be up to cross-examine Tyler. I will put 3 minutes on the clock for you. Go ahead and jump on in.
Would you say enforcement creates a right, or does it secure the right?
Enforcement secures the right. The will of the people is what makes it.
I'm sorry, my headset cut out right when you started talking. Could you say that again?
Enforcement maintains the will of the people, and the creation of the physical right itself as a piece of legislation is what creates it.
So you say that the will of the people, did that exist before the enumeration of a right?
I don't know.
I would say if it's the source is the will of the people, that's not really the source is getting it from the government. That's people existing before the government enumerates that right. That's what you're saying. Would you say if a dictatorship legalizes punishment for dissent, does that just eliminate the right, or does it violate any kind of rights there?
Well, that's up to what their moral compass is in their particular nation. I would say, according to mine, if I were to look onto that, absolutely. But from their perspective, absolutely not. You can see countries like Iran where that's perfectly acceptable.
So in your opinion, like Saudi Arabia, when Jamal Khashoggi, that was not violating any kind of rights that he had?
By my definition, yes. Potentially by their definition, no, because morality is subject to the circumstances, the culture of an area, the era that they're in, kind of year-wise. There's a lot of different factors that go into it.
So would you say, in your view, laws just can't be unjust then? If the law is in place, it's there?
I didn't say that. I could have my definition of what justice is, and things that don't fit my definition of justice can absolutely be unjust. But other places get to decide in their sovereign nations what they conceive justice as. If you go to a Sharia country, their version of justice and what is just and correct is different than ours. If you go to almost any country that's not a Western democracy, you're going to see that same idea form. Did I lose you?
No, I'm trying to find the clock. Of course, his camera isn't working in Discord for me. No, I think I get what you're saying. I just don't agree that like morality should be completely subjective based on
Sorry, man.
culture. No, all good. I think like we're getting lost on natural rights just change based off of where you're at. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like that it's this way, but this is the reality. I don't like that there's no deity in the sky, and I'm not going to go to heaven when I die. Everyone's going to forget I exist in 100 years. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't mean it's wrong.
I guess I end my crosshair. That works for me.
All right. Sorry about that, man. I fixed it. All right. So, nope. Just keep blowing this, don't I? All right. So, Doomer, clock is going to be on you. 3 minutes. Go ahead and start it up for your opening, sir.
Yeah, so I think we've heard some more specific definitions of what natural rights are. I really just want to bring it back to more of like a common sense understanding. A natural right is simply like a right that exists independently of the government. Governments can recognize these rights, they protect these rights, they can violate these rights, but they aren't the source that create them. And you can even see this in traces that's in the Constitution itself. The First Amendment doesn't say the government grants you this right to free speech. It says Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. That freedom of speech exists outside of the government granting you that right or something. That's just something that respects. The assumption behind that language is that it already belongs to the people, and the government's just being restrained from interfering in it. And that distinction is what matters. Because if rights only exist when governments create them, governments can never really truly violate these rights. They really only redefine these permissions. That's why apparently if Khashoggi gets murdered for whatever speech he gives, apparently that's right for some people. Under that view, like Khashoggi, a dissident and authoritarian country doesn't have any rights violated when they're silenced. They simply lose that privilege and get the chainsaw. Most of us reject that conclusion instinctively. Some of us don't, I guess. We believe that people can be treated unjustly even when the law permits it. We believe that abolitionists were right before society agreed with them. We believe that dissidents can have rights when governments suppress them. That language is of natural right. Now let's bring it to speech specifically. Speech is not just noise. Speech is how humans speech is how human beings reason with each other. It's how we criticize authority. It's how we defend ourselves. It's how we persuade others like today. It's how we express conscience, challenge injustice, and participate in general life. A government can leave your private thoughts alone while still preventing you from expressing them. But if you can only think about what you want and never question, criticize, persuade, dissent publicly, your freedom exists only inside your own head. The affirmative is not arguing that every speech act is protected. Obviously, threats, fraud, coercion, that kind of stuff is different. Our claim is much simpler. The liberty to express one's thoughts does not begin when the government grants permission. It begins with the person. That's why freedom of speech is a natural right.
All right. And now it is your turn. Adventurous. Cross-examination or rebuttal. 3 minutes is on the clock to use as you see fit. I'll start the clock when you start to talk. You are muted.
Yeah. Okay. So, Doomer, I notice there's some overlap, but some inconsistency between your team's definition of natural right. For example, Circa's opening, a basic moral claim rooted in human nature, rational agency can't be separated from human nature. Hang on, sorry, that's not the second thing isn't the definition part. So, Circa's definition of basic moral claim rooted in human nature. Castle's opener, a natural right is a moral claim prior to positive law. Your opener, a natural right exists independent of the government. So, again, it feels like there's a lot of things that are kind of pointing in the same direction, but I want you to try to restate it for me like you're explaining it to a child.
Restate what? My specific view on like what is a natural right?
Yeah, what your team's definition of a natural right is.
I can't speak for the entire team, but I will give you kind of my more broad definition than what they gave. I think they gave more of like a philosophical definition. I'm trying to appeal more to the layman's sense of how we understand it, that it's just a right that exists separate from governance. The government, just like free speech, how 1A is written, the Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech. It does not outlie that, the Constitution gives you this positive right to freedom of speech.
Okay, got
That's why
it.
it would be
So
a natural
you're
right.
telling me that this is something that exists prior to and outside of government enforce it.
Correct.
Okay, so if I come along and you say something I don't like and I bash your face in, where's your right to speech then?
Bitch!
It would be violated with you doing that act of violence upon me for my speech.
Okay, but do you see how
enforcement
you can actually...
enforcement is not the creation of the right. Like, if you did that, would you think society?
Yeah,
in
you're
general would
asserting
be
that
violated
based
my
on what?
freedom of speech?
You're asserting that based on what? You say that enforcement isn't the creation of the right, but if no one enforces the right, how do you even say it exists?
Essentially, isn't that argument just right is or might is right?
And can you prove that wrong?
Yeah, society doesn't agree with that in general. People see an inherent right to things like freedom of speech, liberty, pursuit of
Oh,
happiness.
so now society dictates what a right
to be
is.
recognized, not granted to you.
So now
Yeah, society
dictates what a right is.
recognizes that right. If they
Society
recognize that right,
recognizes the right.
they're not necessarily.
Okay,
the
so now
source
we
of
come
that
back
right.
to. So now we
It
come
comes
back
back
to
to, like, morality kind
where
of
does this
argument.
right exist? Outside of the government saying you have it and enforcing it, where does this right actually exist?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Outside of the government saying you have it and enforcing it, where does this right actually exist?
It's just something you possess. Would you say that you don't have a right to life or liberty or pursuit of happiness, anything like that?
I wouldn't say any of those things necessarily. I'm asking you the question. I'm asking a burden of proof.
What was the question? How does it exist?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm not seeing your point of view. Like, it's just a rational agency, morality. Like, if you want to get into like those specifics, we can, but you're just asking like, what is morality?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not asking what is morality. That's a slightly separate question than whether or not rights exist. I asked if no one enforces it, I can't touch your rights, I can't smell your rights, I can't read your rights written on stone, I can't any of these tangible things your rights, and these rights seemingly didn't exist for the first upteenth hundreds of thousands of years for human history because they only existed post liberal enlightenment philosophy. How can you tell me this is a natural right? How can you tell me it exists at all?
Because they're normative claims in society. I think you're still like making the same.
So
kind
now
of
we're back
argument
to.
we
So
did
now
in
we're back
previous
to
weeks where
society says.
slavery was
Got it.
actually based back in the day.
So now we're back to society says it. Got it.
Yeah,
Right.
society recognizes it. They are not the source of it.
All right. So 3 minutes is on the clock now for you, Zach. Go ahead and start the clock. It is your opening.
We, the people of the negative position, hold these truths to be self-evident. That natural rights do not exist, especially within a secular or atheist framework, and even upon the acceptance of the grounding of such rights within deity, that these rights are alienable, seizable, and conditional, and therefore cannot be natural. We hold that the proposition, therefore, that freedom of speech is a natural right is clinically retarded. In following with such self-evident deduction, we firmly state that natural rights is an oxymoron, as rights are a man-made thought construct, and therefore cannot be held to be a natural phenomenon. To assert that something is natural is to be able to ground it in empiricism. But alas, where are these rights? Are they in the room with us right now? I surely think not, except insofar as the authority of the state, which through its monopoly of legal force imposes the thought construct of rights upon us, is with us in the room right now. Without a government to enforce these nebulous and illusory rights, they would simply vanish into the ether of memory, and ultimately into oblivion from whence they came. We hereby and forthwith challenge our opposition to demonstrate that, 1, these natural rights exist at all, 2, that freedom of speech ranks among them, and 3, that they are not silly Bo Billies for holding on to such farcical and whimsical claims. Thank you.
All right. And so now we are going to, let's see, that would be,
Me,
who
right?
went first? Circa. Yeah, Circa. Okay, cool. That would be, give me 1 second. Sorry, I completely forgot about this page. All right. So 3 minutes is on the clock, Circa, for cross-examination. Go ahead and get in there.
Does a right have to be a physical object to be real?
No, something does not have to be a physical
Okay,
object
then
to be
the
real.
objection that rights are not physical objects is pretty stupid, isn't it?
No, because you're claiming it's a natural right. And
Does
if
a right
something is
have
natural,
to be absolute to be real?
does a right have to be absolute to be real? Well, by definition, if it's a right, it is absolute.
That's not true. We're not asking for an absolute thing. We're not saying unalienable. We're saying natural rights. They're different things. If you didn't know that, that's probably not good. But you do know that rights don't have to be absolute to be real, right?
Again, if you're saying it's a natural right, then it's something that cannot be taken away from you because it exists from the
That's
outset.
not what natural right means. You're talking about inalienable right.
Really? Because
not
Doomer's
what a
opening,
natural right
a
is.
natural right exists prior or
That
independent
is
of
not
the
what Doomer
government.
said. I don't really care.
I'm quoting him directly. A natural right is a right that exists independent of the government. Castle's opener, a natural
That's
right
great.
is a moral
Okay.
claim
We're
prior to
gonna move on, my
positive
friend.
law. A limit
We're
on
gonna move
power that exists prior to government. Natural rights are moral standards by which we judge
We're
laws
gonna
to
move
be
on.
just
Can
or
you
unjust.
shut up?
You don't like him? Don't like me quoting your team?
Okay, so does a government create natural liberty or preserve it?
Does a government promote natural liberty? One more time.
I said create.
Create or preserve it.
Mhm.
A government preserves whatever rights and privileges it grants to its population.
Okay, so speech should not be treated as a mere government-created privilege, right? If it belongs to the exercise of rational agency.
That's an ought claim. Can you back it up?
Yeah.
Really? Go for it.
Okay, is speech merely just like noise? Is it just a
Speech,
sound?
well, it depends on how you define each little
Well,
word
why
there.
don't you
Speech
tell me
is,
how
in
it's supposed
fact,
to be then? Why don't you try and define it for
speech
me?
is, in fact, just a sound. It's just that through the
It's just a sound?
communal use of that sound, we have all
reason-giving?
agreed through our social dynamics that certain sounds mean certain things. But you can absolutely reduce
So it's
speech at an
reason-giving, correct?
empirical
Is
empirical
speech
level to just a
reason-giving?
sound.
Is speech reason-giving?
No, reason predates speech.
I said, is it reason-giving? Does speech induce?
No,
a
if reason predates speech, then how could speech
That's not
be
what I'm asking
reason
you. Can
giving?
you fucking pay attention? Does
I am
speech-
paying attention. I'm answering your question very directly.
Does it give reason? When people talk, is there a reason behind it?
Not always.
Okay, not always, but if it is reason giving and just a behavior, then doesn't it mean that it belongs to rational agency and not something that is state administered?
Do crows have rational agency?
It's irrelevant. We can move on now. I think that's your answer.
Right. So we're gonna go ahead and go straight into our champion rounds. That was fun, and I actually am kind of sad that you guys aren't going to be in the champion ring together. Instead, though, we are going to start out with, let's see, boom. Looks like this is going to be our first pairing for the champion rounds. That is Doomer and Ancom. You guys did not face each other in the cross-examine phase. So I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock. Freedom of speech is a natural right. Please, gentlemen, go ahead and pick it apart.
All right. So, Doomer, you said in your opening that rights exist independently of the government, and you said that this was the common sense understanding of the term, right?
I'd say it's my more common sense way of putting it. I wouldn't say it's like a known common sense framing or whatnot.
Okay, fair enough. So you don't think that's how most people perceive of the concept of rights?
Of natural rights, yes.
Okay. And another thing I heard you do a lot in your opening is you seemed to conflate freedoms with rights. Assuming you don't believe those to be the same thing, can you give me the definition or the definitional difference between a freedom and a right?
I would say, like, in this context, the freedom would recognize the right. Like, the First Amendment gives Congress the limit on kind of capping your freedom of speech. So the freedom is the thing that you inherently have. That's the natural right. Obviously the laws.
Wait. Hold on, because again, you just conflated the two. You said the freedom is the thing you naturally have. That's the natural right.
Well, yeah, that's what the prompt is about. Freedom of speech is a natural right.
Yes, correct. I'm saying that a freedom is a freedom, but a right is so. In fact, you actually said it perfectly. The First Amendment limits the government's ability to restrict your speech. That is the right. Yeah, I have the freedom to speak, but if someone comes along and physically stops me, then I clearly have no right to speech, do I?
Sorry, I didn't quite follow. I think you're saying I think we're getting conflated on the difference of like freedom and right, and they're kind of synonymous, I guess, to me. Like Congress is limited in saying is abridging the freedom of speech. Like the First Amendment isn't the freedom of speech. It's just Congress's limit on abridging your freedom of speech.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I'm saying that a freedom and a right are different things. Freedom is just whatever you can do. A right is whatever whatever someone is obligated to protect you to do or protect you from, right? So we've got different concepts of rights, but in all cases, they're things that are about the government protecting your freedoms in some way. That's, functionally speaking, that's what a right seems to be throughout all of history, throughout all of just the way that we think about rights. When people talk about human rights, they're saying these are the things that should be protected by the government. That is the general sense in which people use the concept of rights. And so if there is no government authority, if there is no form of power to enforce and protect those rights, then how could we really say they exist? Freedoms are
do you think they only exist if it's enforced? You don't think?
I mean, what is a right that is not enforced? What is it like?
A right that's violated?
Yeah, what does a right do? A freedom, we can obviously say
a right doesn't do anything. A right is something that you can hold or whatever. Obviously, it's been mentioned a million times. It's not a physical thing you hold. It's something.
It's a construct,
but it can be violated. The fact that it can be violated, it may be violated. Its violation doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Do you believe you have a right to life? A natural right to life?
No, I believe
you have a natural right to exist.
No, I just exist. Like, that's just a fact of my reality. I have a freedom to exist. Now, do I want someone to take
and that exists separate from the government?
No.
I would say that's a natural right, correct?
No, that is just a thing that exists. That is my freedom. But the thing is, I'm making a very strict distinction between freedoms and rights. Freedoms
Yeah,
are
it's
things
gonna
that
be
I
a
naturally
boring one,
have.
man.
Rights are
If you're
things
not
that
into
have to
niche
be
debates, just
protected
move on.
to have any effect whatsoever. To
So would you say
be-
liberty can be real even when it has limits?
Say that again?
Can
Now
liberty
you're
be real
throwing
even
in
when it has limits?
now you're throwing in a new term into this debate. You're
Oh, I'm
throwing
sorry.
in
I thought you were
liberty.
bringing up liberty.
No. No, I like right now we're talking about freedoms and rights. Now, I would consider freedom and liberty to be largely synonymous. You know, when you have the freedom to do something, you have the liberty to do something. You know, given that I believe
Would you say-
the words
do you
freedom
think
and
you have a
liberty
freedom
have
to
etymological.
liberty? Is that just a nonsense sentence to you?
Say again?
Would you say that there's a freedom to liberty, or is that just like a nonsense sentence to you?
I would say it's tautological. You're saying you have a freedom to freedom or a liberty to liberty. It's tautological.
Do you think that you have a freedom to exist just like in a place, or that the government should be able to kind of like outlaw your existence there? And they would
Well, I
be
mean,
completely moral in that.
we're talking about the difference between freedoms and what the government can do. Governments absolutely can infringe on freedoms. They do it all the time. Doesn't mean I don't still have the freedom. It's just being
That's what I'm
infringed
saying.
upon. But
Yeah,
the thing
like
is, I'm distinguishing
like
that
a natural
from-
right, and then we're saying, well, yeah, I'm saying my view is pretty broad. A natural right's just kind of existent from government itself. It doesn't have to be given to you by whoever's authoritative of you. They can still take that right from you. They can violate that. That may be wrong. It may be justified in some circumstances, but that's still like that's still a natural right that I have. The right to speech, the right to life. I don't know. I view liberty as maybe slightly different than freedom, but I can see your view of how they're synonymous. But yeah, the natural right being there, it's still there. The fact that, you know, a government might be able to trample on it or whatnot, that just makes it wrong. Like when I brought up Khashoggi, like if Saudi Arabia just
I'm not
had
saying
that
that-
law on the books, then it's moral, I guess. That's not
No,
how
that's okay. I'm making a very
Well,
strong distinction
real quick,
between morals and rights as well.
For instance, I think your shirt is based. I've said it once before. No one is illegal. Yeah, rep that shit.
Oh, you should
I
see
agree
the
with this.
shirt. No one is illegal on stolen land.
But why is that?
I mean,
Do they have a natural right to be there?
It's largely a tagline. They have the freedom to move. I mean, I believe very strongly in the
They have the
freedom
freedom to move.
Yeah.
Like when they got kicked out,
No.
they had the freedom to
People
move.
have the
Like,
freedom. People have freedom.
What are you
of their-
appealing to with no one is illegal there? Is that appealing to the government or some background thing from society, like a natural
specifically
right
no one
that they
is
had to
illegal
be
on
there?
stolen land. So the on stolen land part is kind of important in that, but I don't want to get too sidetracked. When
Well,
I'm saying
what
no
does
one
it
is
matter?
illegal on
If
stolen-
society is granting them the right to be there or not be there, it's on them. The right doesn't exist separate from them, is what you're saying. If natural rights don't exist,
What I'm saying is that the concept of no one is illegal, people can do illegal things. But can you say that their existence is illegal? Can you outlaw someone's existence? I mean, I suppose.
no, I think that
that's what
their
we do
existence here would
when
be like a
we-
natural right.
I assume that
It doesn't have to
well, I
be
was
given
gonna say,
to the government.
I figure that's what we do when we execute people is we outlaw their freedom to exist in that.
Well, yeah,
specific
some of those
space.
are justified, and we can grant that. Like, not all freedom, like not freedom of speech doesn't mean all speech is legal. It's not like an absolutionist claim. I'm definitely not one of those people. Obviously, can't say fire in a movie theater, cause a riot, do threats, coercion, any of that. Just like the state can deprive you of life if you go out and murder 20 people. That doesn't make it not a natural right.
Yeah, but again, even if I accept for a moment that that natural rights exist and that life is among them because it has been the most common, the most common item denoted in that, we have a clear practical reason for protecting life, beyond the natural
But why do
right.
we have that? What does that come from?
Because we have decided as a culture that we want to protect life. That is a decision that we as a society have made. It's not necessarily natural.
Where does that society get it from?
Through intersubjective discourse.
Is it some
Like,
kind of?
I'm not saying that we don't
natural thing
decide
that we have?
things through speech. That would be absurd. But like all of these things that we call rights, the things that we decide to protect, those are the things that we have decided as humans, i.e., artificially, to consider.
No, not
as
artificially.
rights.
Very naturally, actually.
Oh, that's okay. So, what does it mean to be natural versus artificial? Right.
I think that's
The
our
general
time, but-
consensus is that natural exists apart from and independently of humans. Artificial are those
Not
things
humans.
we create.
I've been saying independent from government. The right isn't sourced from the government giving
Well,
it
no,
to
no,
you.
but-
It's
but
the thing
we're
that we all
talking about-
intuit and kind of, as a society
Talking
together,
about
recognize.
the term natural itself, right? Not necessarily the natural right. I'm saying the
Oh no, I was just saying
distinction-
that because I thought you were saying artificially to kind of dodge the fact that you might have wanted to say naturally there.
No, I'd like I would be
But
fine.
either way, I think that's
calling
our time
something
there.
like freedom of speech an artificial right. Absolutely, that's fine.
It is
But I'm
indeed
not
your
calling it
time,
natural.
but I was enjoying it and I didn't want to jump in and interfere. So
Sorry.
I was gonna let that keep cooking. So but okay, great job, gentlemen. That was a fucking blast. Enjoyed the hell out of that. So thank you very, very much. All right, so we are now going to go to boom. Castle and Adventurous. Zach and Castle. So 10 minutes is on the clock for you gentlemen now. Go ahead and just jump on in.
Yeah, Castle. So if natural rights are moral standards by which we judge laws to be unjust or just, how is it that like every society in every time period throughout human history has had different standards of law and conduct?
Yeah, so I think that's, again, those different standards come from those governments of the past. So I think we're still confusing what natural rights are and what inalienable rights are. Like, would you agree
I'm not
natural
confusing
rights?
anything. I read your definition.
So do you agree that natural rights come from nature?
No.
Well, that's definitionally what natural rights are, right?
Something that comes from nature has to definitionally exist. I'm asserting the thing doesn't exist. You're asserting it does. I don't see it in nature. You're saying natural rights are moral standards by which we judge laws to be just or unjust, but civilizations all throughout human history have had laws that completely contradicted each other, social norms that completely contradicted each other. If natural rights were so self-evident and existed in nature right there for us to see and observe and adhere, then we would have had a more consistent moral through line, but we don't have that throughout history. Not even close.
Do you think that religion, let's say like Catholic faith, that they understand where rights come from? Where do you think they got those claims from?
Most of the time, any religion, not just the Catholics, but most religions ground any rights they assert to exist in their deity.
Okay, so do you believe that deities can grant rights?
If you grant the existence of the deity, sure.
I mean, do you grant the existence of the deity, or do you claim that your rights come from government solely?
I'm on the negative. I don't need to grant or not grant anything. I'm asking you, the affirmative, to demonstrate natural rights to me.
Well, I'm trying to understand because, for me at least, the way that people have come up with the term natural rights and the way we understand natural rights, I would argue that even religions understand this point. But you're saying that we get our natural rights from government itself. So I'm trying to understand
I'm
why
not
you
saying
think...
that. You.
Well, you were saying that
said-
natural rights aren't real until they're basically imposed on us by governments
No,
based on...
I didn't say until imposed by government. My position is actually natural rights aren't real specifically because they don't seem to manifest until they are enforced by a government. And if they existed prior to the government enforcing them, then you would have some evidence that they existed, now wouldn't you? But oh, that's right. Free speech hasn't been protected in any country ever since the dawn of humanity until the USA. and currently does not exist in any country but the USA. But it's a natural right, though.
Wait, but we know that for the First Amendment, at least in particular, that's not the source of freedom of speech. It's a constitutional protection. It doesn't mean that we can't speak without it, right? Like if we didn't have the First Amendment, would that mean that I can't talk to you?
Well, so now we have to get into a conversation about exactly how we're defining freedom of speech, I guess, because the freedom of speech is not the freedom to use your vocal cords to generate vibrations. That's an empirically measurable thing. That's not what my side is asserting. Freedom of speech is the ability to go out and say a set of things decided by the body law that the government cannot punish you for. And as me and my team have thoroughly illustrated, that hasn't existed in 99.999% of human civilizations. So how can you say it's a natural right? How can you say natural rights exist at all?
Yeah, but I would just say that just because history tells us that previous civilizations or governments didn't understand what a natural right was, doesn't mean that natural rights didn't exist before that or don't exist currently. I mean, when we talk about freedom of speech, it's just a safeguard. The First Amendment is to freedom of speech. It doesn't mean that the government would still go after you necessarily if the First Amendment didn't exist. It would just mean that there's a safeguard that was been repealed.
Would you agree that we can observe things that exist in history?
We can observe things that, sure.
So why don't we see freedom of speech prior to 1776?
You'd have to give me an example. Where did freedom of speech not exist before?
Anywhere.
Well, I don't think that's possible. I mean, there have been books written in history. People have been able to speak freely in other governments hundreds of years ago.
Sure, there have been books written in history and people got burned at the stake for them. Sure, there have been books written in history and people were exiled for them. Yeah, the freedom of speech, as I just talked about with being defined by the body law, says you can say whatever you want under these terms without prosecution from the government. Prior to the American government, there was no protection. If the government decided it didn't like what you said, you're hung, you're burned, you're in jail. So again, where did freedom of speech exist before our government? And therefore, how can you say it existed in nature and was observable?
I mean, I just disagree with that premise. If you look back, let's say even
he just disagrees with the premise, guys.
Well, with the Salem witch trials, do you think that it wasn't just random townsfolk making assumptions about who was the witch or not? I mean, that's not the government. That was just people back then who had a very religious view, who assumed that people were who were pagans were somehow against God and must be burned at the stake. I don't know. I don't think that means anything about their speech in particular. I think that just is something that people viewed morally different back then. It had nothing to do with what they were saying. It was how they were viewing religion at the time. So I think you can go back in history and see all sorts of crazy things. People were being killed and died over, fought wars over. That doesn't mean that natural speech didn't exist and we weren't born with natural speech. I think that's just a claim that governments were evil back then, and people's perception of freedom of speech and natural speech were wrong back then. No?
Well, you don't now think you're conflating terms. Natural speech is not freedom of speech. Natural speech is not a natural right. So again, I'm asking you to demonstrate, where is freedom of speech as grounded in natural rights seen in history prior to 1776? Go.
I mean, you can point to any government. France in 1700s had freedom of speech.
Bold claim. I'm gonna need some sources on that one, bro.
How not? I mean, you could go to ancient Rome. Rome had public speech options. I mean, people in the Senate and forums, people would write, speak publicly in the open about philosophy. I mean, were people not just talking back then? Were people silent throughout history?
Bro, they literally killed one of the most famous philosophers and debaters in history in Greece because they didn't like what he was saying. You ever heard of a guy called Socrates? Like, come on, bro.
Okay, but the fact that people were killed doesn't prove that free speech did not exist as a moral right. It proves government's violated. I feel like we keep confusing that point. The whole point of calling something a natural right is that it can exist even when power refuses to accept that. This is the whole point about the government not accepting that right.
And see, this is what you're missing. If something doesn't actually protect you from the government, if something doesn't have some kind of tangible physical benefit or tangible social benefit, there's nothing you can point to that says this actually manifested in this situation, then it doesn't actually exist. It's a thought construct. It's something humans made the fuck up.
Well, a right does not have to be physically tangible to manifest itself. You can't point to justice or consent. Like, is consent
now you're getting it
tangible? Is consent tangible though? Innocence until proven guilty. I mean, as physical objects,
is consent a thought construct?
I mean, is consent? What do you mean by that?
You said so. I said rights are a thought construct, and then you brought up consent, bro. It's apples to apples. They're both thought constructs. Bringing up consent doesn't prove that rights exist.
I'm saying that they're not physically tangible. So when you're saying like prove to me a natural right exists, I can't prove. You cannot point to justice or consent or equality as physical objects, but they still shape our behavior. They still shape laws that have been passed down to us by governments.
Human thought constructs shape human behavior. I never would have guessed. So like I was saying, that's really cool, bro. Hey, can you demonstrate that rights actually exist in some form other than we made it the fuck up?
I mean, if you're asking me to show you a physical right, no, I couldn't show you what that looks like as an object. I think we kind of understand how these things exist in human nature. They're just basically similar to what I said about physical things can still be real without them being like what a chair looks like or what a rock is. There are moral limits on what people and governments can do. So you can't just point to justice as a physical object either. You can point to the court system. You can point to protests, punishments. So I just feel like we agree to disagree on this issue, but I just don't think that I can give you the answer you're looking for to say, here is what a natural law looks like. I can only explain it as a concept because that's what it is, just like everything else.
All right. That actually seems like a fairly decent lull in the conversation and a good landing point. So with that said, we have our last champion round here. And I'm sure that if you guys are keeping score at home, you know what's about to happen. Oh, yeah, that's the ones. Circa and Tyler, you guys are going to be in the room for 10 minutes. Please, gentlemen, try to be reasonable. Start it up when you're ready. Get in there.
I'm fucking ready. Let's go. Okay, so what we've heard tonight is natural rights exist. Trust me, bro. God told me. I don't need to prove shit to you. They take my word for it. They exist. Anytime you don't do what we say, they're violated.
You're muted, Circa.
Circa, would you like to talk about your Lord and Savior?
Tyler,
Jesus
you mentioned Locke in your opening, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you said Locke figured this out with inalienable rights, what were you meaning by that?
I defined that in my opening, but before we get there, can you address my point?
No, I'm curious. I want you to define it again.
Okay, cool, but before we get there, can you address my point that I started with? You just kind of ignored the entire thing that breaks your argument in half, is that you're just saying, trust me, bro, there's nothing to back what you're saying besides God told us. Could you please address that point?
I can actually with Locke.
Okay, well, I'm waiting, and then we'll go to your point, because I asked first, we were given the chance to start. I seized the opportunity like a man seizes
Tyler,
the opportunity. Now answer my
point. What does Locke say about natural rights?
You're having a hard time hearing me right now. I said answer my fucking point, and then we can go into your question.
Does Locke begin with government?
You're having a real hard
And in a
time
state
hearing
of
me right
nature.
now, Circa. I asked you a question. You don't get to skip over the thing that breaks your argument in half. Now, please address my point, and then I can go into your question. I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, so Locke says natural liberty exists
So you're
before
going to
government.
dodge
Are you
the
aware of this?
argument. You don't have a counter argument for the fact that your
I
entire
just answered
argument
it, Tyler.
is
Can you
trust
can
me,
you
bro.
stop talking? Can you
Trust
stop
me,
talking?
bro. I'm waiting for an answer to the
Locke
question.
says natural liberty exists before government. Are you aware of this?
I understand what Locke says. I'm asking you
Then
to
how
tell
come
me
you said
how
Locke
your
figured it out
argument
with
is anything
inalienable
more than
rights?
trust me, bro. I'm asking
Why did you
Circa.
say Locke said something else?
I'm asking you a question. You're refusing to engage in it because you know you do not have an answer. As soon as you admit this entire thing is based on trust me, bro, God said so, you have to admit that there's nothing backing what you're saying besides a book. So that's the reason why you're not answering any questions and just moving on. I'm not letting this go. You'd have to answer my point.
Again, natural rights are moral, basic claims rooted in human nature, rational agency, and moral responsibility. They're not physical objects.
So you
and
can't
they
prove
don't
them.
need
It's
to
just a
be.
theory, right? But unlike gravity,
If you want me to measure
it's
it,
not
if
what
you
can
want me
measure.
to measure it, if you want me to measure it like it's a fucking inch on like a fucking ruler, that's not what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you can't. It's flat Earth. You can't prove it, right? There's no proof behind what you're saying. It's just trust me, bro. Correct?
Again, it's a moral claim.
So yes, you're
Tyler.
saying that we
Can
have
you
to
measure a
trust
moral
you.
claim?
There's nothing.
Tyler, can you measure a moral claim?
That's what
Can
I'm
you measure
asking
one?
you. That's literally what I'm asking
Can
you in
you
a more
can
complicated
do humans
way.
naturally do
I'm
moral
asking you,
claims?
do you have any measurements or proof that this exists, or are we just going off of trust me, bro, God said it?
Is moral claims, are they biology?
I'm not asking that. I'm asking you, Circa, the other debater, what
I
your
told
stance
you
is,
my
how
claim
your stance is grounded
a
factually.
moral one. Natural rights are normative moral claims.
So then why can't you just answer my question and no, it's trust me, bro, God said so, because that's what you're claiming. It's a moral claim that comes from God saying these things, right? Is that
No,
hard to
it's a
admit?
moral claims that exist before positive law says they can.
Who says they can? Who says that? Where do we get those rights?
Certainly not law.
Where did
in
we
my
get
normative
those rights?
moral claim.
Who endowed us with those rights?
No one.
So they just appeared? They just appeared, and so you have no way that they formed. It's this non-falsifiable thing. That
It
you
is a
can't
moral
explain.
limit
You
on
don't know
power
where it came
grounded in
from.
rational agency and moral responsibility.
so
Rational
trust me, bro.
agency and moral responsibility are how this is grounded.
So again, trust me, bro. This is my preference. There's nothing that actually shows us this is real. It's your preference. Whereas every other nation in human existence has their own preference, do these things differently. To go back to your point about justice, and I want to say that Castle made a similar point about justice. We're not claiming justice is natural. We're claiming justice is a shifting standard that changes by
It's
nation.
a normative
based off
claim.
of morality.
Justice, consent, obligation, legitimacy,
What does justice
authority, and
mean in
coercion
Afghanistan? Does it mean the
is
same thing
authority
as justice in
a
America?
fake thing.
No.
Tyler, is authority a fake
No,
thing?
authority exists. I can point
Is
to it.
obligation a fake thing?
Oh, it's a societal, that's a social construct. I wouldn't say it's fake, but it's definitely
What about
something
justice?
that
Is
has-
justice a fake thing?
No, justice is a standard that shifts based on.
What about
each-
coercion?
But
You can't
gotta-
measure it.
You're not even letting. You're refusing to answer questions, and you're not letting me answer yours.
Can you measure justice, Tyler? Can you measure justice?
You can measure if justice was done based off of this definition of the system you have. Yes, because it's grounded.
And
in
where do you
something.
appeal to when you're grounding this?
Whatever the morals of that particular nation decided they want their justice
Those
system to be.
moral claims, those moral normative claims you're appealing to, right?
Yes, the society has shifting moral stances. Each
So
society
my
has
natural
different-
rights
Hold on,
definition
let me
is a
finish this-
basic
no,
moral claim.
No. This isn't cross-examination time. I'm going to finish a statement. So our society dictates what laws we elect representatives. Those representatives go into office.
And they're based on
Hold
what?
on, I'm finishing
They're
a
based on what?
sentence. They're based off of what the people decide to be their laws at the time. So if life
And
was
where
a
are they appealing
moral-
to there? What are they grounding it in?
Their own particular circumstances, their own particular subjective morality.
It's all
This is why-
relative?
this-
Even if
yes.
it is relative, by
Yes.
the way, they can
Yes.
relatively come to this moral claim that's
Yes.
normative. You know that, right?
It's all relative, and they're all different, and most of the
So they
world
can come
disagrees
to
with you.
the
Most of human
moral
humans
relative
disagree with
claim. They can come to
could.
the claim
Hypothetically,
relatively.
they could. Yes, there's a very, very, very
Yeah.
small chance they could. But
So
none
now
of
a
this
natural
refuting the
right is
argument.
a moral claim
No.
that's normative, grounded in
no,
rational
You're
agency.
saying the
and-
exception proves the rule, or the exception is the rule. I'm saying the exception proves the rule. You're
I don't even know what that
arguing
means in
that a
this
tiny
conversation.
percent
What do you
of
mean
people,
exception?
a tiny percent of people could hypothetically come to your claim if they thought enough about it and thought the same way you did. So that now proves all of them are coming from this same claim. That's not true. Morality is subjective. In every nation, it's different. Even people that believe in your definition of objective morality disagree on the definitions or what is actually moral. There is no objective morality. We're not
I have
trusting
no idea what the
God's
hell you're
word
trying to
for
say
it.
right now. Now,
I know you don't
before
because you don't listen.
filibuster
You're just
anymore.
waiting for your next chance to talk, bro.
No,
you talk twice
I
as much as I
definitely
have.
do.
I haven't even got a sentence out in like 10 minutes.
Relax.
Oh, I mean, I want you to answer a fucking question, but you can't.
So, Locke, I answered your question.
You did not. Still waiting for it.
Does Locke think that we exist in state of nature or with government? Which one is the
No, I'm
beginning?
not here to argue all of Locke's writing. We're here to argue a completely different prompt.
You
can-
use
as I said
Locke,
in my-
which is why-
it doesn't matter. I
which
use
is why I'm
Locke for
asking
one
you.
sentence. You've asked 4 questions about the dude. As I said in my introduction, and I want this is for the audience, not you. This dude's just gonna beat us over the head with this.
Why would you
theory
invoke
that most
Locke?
people
Why would you
don't
invoke
give a
Locke
shit
if you
about.
have zero clue what the
Most
fuck he
people
said?
don't give a shit about this theory. He's going to beat us over the head with it and never show us how it plays out in practical reality. But in reality,
You're the
United
one who
States
brought it up.
rejects these natural rights with the existence of abortion. We decided that the existence of human life does not line up with the existence of human rights. We delayed it until birth, basically until the woman says it's a life. We have an arbitrary definition of life based on when a woman says so. The reason for this is if you kill a
Can
pregnant
you take a
woman,
Xanax, dude?
if you kill a pregnant
Can you take a
woman,
Xanax?
yeah, I don't understand. You're getting cooked. You don't have a counter argument here. You got to go to AdHom.
No, I need
But
you to take a
when-
Xanax,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah, shut up. When we have a woman killed in a car accident, that's 2 murders. That's 2 deaths.
That's
But
correct.
when that woman decides that's not a baby and she wants to abort it, at the very same point in life, she can say that no longer has human rights. That goes against your national rights. If you're in favor
So
of
does
abortion,
Locke
you're against
say
natural
that governments
rights.
create natural liberty or do they preserve
Bro,
it?
we're not arguing what Locke said here. We're arguing our own arguments. This is what I said about us. He's going to beat us
I'm
over the head with the
arguing what
theory
you
and
said
never
in your
make a
opening.
point. I already addressed.
You
4
said
of
this in your
Locke. I made
opening.
1 sentence about Locke, and it was about the difference
It was
between
more than one?
2 statements he said. You haven't brought up what you're like. You said.
You said
Locke's
Locke
name, so let me
figured
ask you
this
about
out.
Everything he's ever
You said
written.
Locke figured this out,
I
didn't you?
talked about 2 different. I talked about the difference between inalienable.
So why
and
don't you help me
forfeit.
understand it? What did he say?
That's all I said.
Define
I
it
said
for
the
me.
difference between inalienable and forfeit was a distinction without a difference. That's all I said about Locke. You haven't brought that
So you
up.
said he
all.
figured it out. I want you to define it.
That's
do
what
you
I
mean by
said
that?
about Locke. The Locke made a distinction that has no difference between inalienable and forfeit. That's all I said about Locke. And so far, you've asked me 5 questions about the guy. Shit, I don't even fucking know because I don't read that shit. I'm a practical political follower, which is why I'm cooking you on the reality of what happens with rights in the United States and how your non-falsifiable theory is obsolete. The United States doesn't believe it. We reject it with the inception of abortion.
You are talking. That is for sure.
You're not listening. That's why you don't realize that I said 1 sentence about Locke. 1. And I told you what it was about. None of your questions have pertained to that. You're asking me about your stupid theory that nobody believes.
relax.
I don't know about
Relax.
it because I don't believe your
Relax.
stupid theory.
Relax. Insecurity doesn't need to be this gnarly, dude. Relax.
Again, that AdHom doesn't work. You're getting cooked right now because your theory is non-falsifiable. You couldn't answer a single question about it. I've answered 5 of your questions.
coercion-
I'm trying to hold
is
you to
coercion-
1. Can you answer 1
Is
question?
coercion a physical
No. We're
object?
going back to my 1 question. You've asked 5 already. My question is, do you have anything backing your system besides I say they exist? Trust me, bro. Is there any
I already
proof
told
you
you.
can show
My
us
claim
in the
is
world,
thinner.
throughout all of U.S. history, or in the world history, any proof that you can show us that these rights are actually inherent? Any civilizations from the past taking specific actions? Any shared moral compass we can see throughout humanity's history? Anything to show us that this is actually true? Or are you just saying, I think this is true, so it is?
Okay.
Anything. Do you? I'm asking a question, Circa. I know you ignore people when they talk to you, but I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, I
Do you
get
not have
that.
an answer?
No, man.
You don't
I
have a
an
single
answer for you.
example to back to show us all throughout human history any proof
Because rights.
that these rights
Because you're
are
making
natural.
a genetic fallacy. Just because people didn't understand it back then or didn't come to the conclusion yet doesn't mean that it's invalid. They still appealed to this normative moral claim, didn't they?
So it's basically, I'm right, trust me, bro. It doesn't matter about history, doesn't matter. Human reactions don't matter. The fact that most people in the world disagree with me doesn't matter. I'm right, trust me, bro. I don't need to prove to you why I'm right. We're just going to accept these things exist. That's all you're saying.
Again, is coercion a physical object?
I'm not answering until you answer my question, Circa. I'm not going back to your questionnaire.
Is
until you
coercion
answer
a
my
physical
question.
object?
I'm not going back to your questionnaire until you answer my question. You've dodged my 2
I already
questions
did.
and asked me 8.
All right, we're circling. We're circling. I was gonna let y'all keep going because I was hoping we were getting somewhere, but we were circling a drain there. So that's okay though. We have gotten through our champion rounds. Some of them were definitely scarier than others, but we're gonna go through our closing arguments. And on the bright side, Circa, you get to have your first closing argument. So go ahead and nope, you're there. Go ahead and put 3 minutes on the clock for that. Uninterrupted closing. Finish your thoughts, sir.
Okay. I think we kind of just heard a bunch of fugazi and abstract thought applied onto what our definition of what natural rights would be. I think all three of us stated it plenty of times, multiple times, in which, once again, I'll do it in the end, okay? A natural right is a basic moral claim rooted in human nature, rational agency, and moral responsibility. That doesn't mean that it is something you can measure like a physical fucking object. It doesn't mean that it's absolute. It only means that some moral claims, freedom of speech in this case, exist before law can recognize them and distort them or violate them. That's it. A civil right is what government recognizes and enforces. Whenever we think of these rights, the ones that we enshrine, and how Doomer poetically put it into words in his opening and his cross-ex, the First Amendment doesn't claim to create it. It enshrines the idea. It's appealing to a ground, a moral normative claim. So again, we're not arguing that, speech is natural because humans make sounds, or that speech is natural because the point is, okay, it is a natural right because it is a public form of agency. That's part of the moral grounding when it comes to rational agency. It means that a human being is not merely just a subject of law to be managed, protected, and administered. It means that a human being can reason, which is why speech is a very important part of this. It's part of judging, dissenting, worship even, criticizing, persuading, refusing. And it also is important to ask if power can justify itself. This is why speech is grounded in my moral normative claim. It is one of the only ways in which a human being can rationally control agency. That's why I don't think it can be reduced to a civil privilege. Civil law can recognize speech, like the First Amendment says and what Doomer says. It can organize it, it can protect it, but it doesn't, it can define its legal boundaries as well, but it does not create the moral fact that a person cannot be treated as a rational agent while the state claims ownership over their public judgment. So I want to point out that a right can be natural without being absolute. Once again, a right can require legal enforcement without being created by law. A right can have religious defenders without defending on religion, and a right can need boundaries without becoming empty. I think the contrast here, when it comes to if rights only come from law, then legal tyranny violates no rights until it changes its own rules. If we use the Rousseau or Burke route, that civil society and inherited wisdom and continuity and prudence is how rights are determined, that's not going to ground them. It's circular, and if an institution like slavery exists, then technically they're not violating any rights. They have to appeal to some moral normative claim beyond that exists independent of government. If speech is only a civil privilege, right, then dissent exists only by permission, completely invalidating one's rational agency. If consciousness may exist only silently, then the state has not protected conscience, it has just confined it. I think natural rights as an account is stronger. And I think I'll just end it again on what I mean with our definition, because it keeps getting changed into something else. It is a moral normative claim rooted in human nature, rational agency, and moral responsibility. It exists before law recognizes it and limits legitimate political authority. That's it. I'll end it there.
Right. Yeah, we went a little over there, but again, I'm always going to let you guys keep cooking if you're going somewhere. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and go over to you now, Ancom. 3 minutes is on the clock for your uninterrupted closing. Let us hear it, sir.
Give me 1 second, just need.
Take your time.
It's funny because I typed something in the chat that I really wanted to use here, but now I can't find the damn thing. Oh well. All right. Anyways. So, in this debate, we have been hearing the affirmative conflate a number of different terms. Freedom, ability, right. The problem with these is that while you can say that a natural freedom exists because we are naturally able to do many different things, and without constraint, we have the freedom to do those many things. But you would never say that a freedom is indicative of a right. I have the freedom to kill someone. I have that ability, and I have the natural freedom to use my own reason to determine my own moral responsibility to take the life of another person. No one would argue with the fact that me having that ability means I also have the right to do that. This is not where we functionally derive rights from. Rights have always been, throughout history, determined by what freedoms are and are not protected by whoever is holding the monopoly on violence in your region, what I and many anarchists would refer to as the state. Rights do not exist separate from the state. Freedoms do, ability does, rights do not. This is the main crux of my argument, because to use any other definition of right leads you to just conflating rights and freedoms, rights and abilities. And we know that that is patently absurd. There is a particular way in which we mean this word right that means calling it natural doesn't make sense. No matter how you ground the right philosophically, whether it be out of reason or whether it be from God, which I recognize none of my opponents did, whatever it is, there is still the fact that what humans have determined are and are not rights for the people has shifted drastically across the ages. And we have a very particular understanding of them today that we cannot necessarily trace back through history, but we do recognize there are things that were not moral, but that were not protected in the way that we have rights today. That's my argument.
Thank you very much there. So, Castle, you are up next, sir. 3 minutes is on the clock for your closing. I'll start it when you start.
Yeah, so kind of fitting to what Ancom was saying at the end about the word natural and how I that word itself can kind of make people feel confused about how it relates to something tangible, or who gives that right to us, or is it something that you can see or see throughout history, whatever it may be. But when we think about the word natural, if you want to use a different word, whether it's logical or reasonable or instinctive or essential, these are all synonyms of the word natural, and we would all agree, I would assume, that we believe that those are logical rights to have, the right for free speech or the right to speech. And so I think whatever term you want to use, we kind of understand it. I think we just have a fundamental disagreement on what that looks like. Are rights merely permissions from power of government, or are there moral limits on power? I think history can provide evidence that humans have repeatedly recognized certain moral claims, but it doesn't mean that history makes those claims true. And I mentioned it too earlier on in the debate, but slavery existed for thousands of years. If rights were just based on only history or tradition, then slavery would have a strong claim to legitimacy. So we say slavery was wrong despite its long history because it's violating that human personhood, liberty as well, and human agency. So I think that, I'm not arguing that free speech is a natural right because it has always been protected historically. I think that was another thing, is like, name a time throughout history where we've had free speech. I'm arguing that history shows why the right matters, why the right itself matters. While human personhood explains why that right exists, I think that's a strong argument for it. So, it is a moral claim prior to positive law. I mentioned that. The way my opponents say that because rights are recognized through different legal systems, they can't be natural. But again, I would argue it just confuses legal enforcement with moral existence, and that governments enforce rights, they define rights, and they sometimes violate those rights. So, but it doesn't mean that they create the moral worth of a human person. If, freedom of speech fits that standard because speech is the public exercise of rational agency, and human beings think, judge, believe, worship, create, and persuade. So speech is conscious, made public. If people have the natural right to reason and form moral judgments, then they must also have the natural right to express those judgments. So speech must exist before legitimate government because citizens cannot consent to, criticize, or resist government unless they can speak freely, and government cannot be the source of the very right needed to challenge government. I'll finish off by saying that speech is natural does not mean it's absolute. So I know I mentioned this earlier, but threats, fraud, coercion, and indictment are abuses of those free speech, and boundaries do not disprove rights. They define their proper use. So freedom of speech is not a favor from the state. It's a moral limit on the state, and government may recognize it, protect it, or violate it, but it cannot be the source of it.
Right. Tyler, sir, you're up next. 3 minutes is on the clock for you. Let's hear your closing.
All right, so this entire argument just rests on them restating this theory over and over, beating you over the head with it, with no actual practical application to reality. With these rights exist, trust me, bro. Ignore all these mechanisms built into government that actually give you rights and can take all these natural rights away from you. These natural rights, they kind of shift around a little bit, but we didn't hear it when we were pressing them for examples. What they did was shift to justice, obligation, language, social constructs, things that man has invented, that man has propped up, and that man has used government to back. Justice is defined by nation to nation based on culture, morality, era, religious beliefs. All sorts of factors go into what that nation determines as justice. In one state, justice could be making sure a woman wears her religious scarf on her head, or in another, that could be the exact opposite of justice, because these are moral subjectivism is real. It doesn't mean all morally subjective views are equal, but it does mean that each morality is different depending on where you are. But just all we heard over and over was, trust me, bro, zero proof, zero history to back it, zero examples of human action. It's basically, it's worse than flat earth theory. Flat earth theorists at least try to prove that their theory is right, not this hollow argument. And that's why I kept trying to push Circa on going back to God. Because as soon as you remove God from this argument as it was incepted and intended by our founders and the people that invented it, you made this argument hollow. Turning this into a secular argument, one, removes the creation and origin of these rights, and two, removes any credibility that anything stands behind them. So then it just makes it your personal theory that you can't prove or back, that completely is negated by practical reality on every level. So stripping this argument down to make it secular made it fucking hollow and made it fucking pointless. At the end of the day, I gave plenty of examples. They were just dodged around. I gave the abortion example. In the United States of America, the way we determine what right to life is based on the mother. If the mother decides that baby is going to be born through my legs, that baby now has a legal right to be alive. If that mother gets in a car accident, that's 2 murders. If that mother does drugs and kills the baby, she gets charged with murder, even though it's still in her womb. But she could also choose to not have that baby and abort it up until the time of birth. Right before birth, she can get an abortion in several states. That to me tells us that we judge when that new human being has the right to life based off the decision of the mother, not based off the fact that a new individual human being exists. Thus, natural rights are not being practiced in the United States or anywhere, and our actual rights, how we jurisdict life, comes from law, comes from states in particular in this instance, passing the laws that the people want there. States that see abortion as immoral get to make that choice with their voters. States that don't see abortion as immoral get to make that choice with their voters. We have a 50-state experiment. That's how it's always worked. We can show you the origin of these rights. We can show you how they're enforced. We can explain all of this to you. It's right in front of your eyes. Their only argument is trust me, bro. To Castle's argument points out about speech being required before government. I just want to point out that every single successful revolution happened in a nation that did not guarantee free speech at all. So speech was something that was done despite the government making it illegal. Thus, it's not a right. It's just an action people do.
Right. So, we are now going over to you, Doomer. 3 minutes is on the clock for your closing, sir. Go ahead and start it up.
Tonight the negative spent most of its time arguing that natural rights don't exist. And I think that really matters because if you accept that framework, then rights become nothing more than permissions granted by governments or institutions. But ask yourself what follows from that. If rights only exist because society recognizes them, then abolitionists were not defending rights when they said slavery was illegal. Dissidents in authoritarian countries are not having their rights violated when they're silenced. They simply lack whatever permission society has chosen to grant them. I don't think most people actually believe that. Most people believe that governments can be wrong. Most people believe that societies can be unjust. Most people believe that if a person can be denied a right, even when the law says otherwise. The reason we believe these things is because we instinctively understand the difference between rights and powers. The negative repeatedly pointed out that natural rights don't exist because they can't stop a prison cell, a censor, or some kind of government decree or law. That's true, but rights have never been a description of power. They're a standard by which we judge that power. A right doesn't stop existing because it's violated. In fact, the entire reason we talk about rights today is because they can be violated. And that brings us back to speech. Speech is how human beings participate in public life. It's how we challenge authority. It's how we expose corruption. It's how we persuade others. It's how we defend ourselves against those who hold the power over us. Government can prevent someone from speaking, but it can't become the source of that person's thoughts, conscience, or ability to reason. The question before us was never whether governments can suppress speech. Of course they can. The government is whether the liberty to express one's thoughts begins with the government permission or with the individual. Our side, the affirmative, has argued that governments may recognize that liberty, protect it, they can violate it, but they do not create it. They are not the source of it. The negative's answer is that rights exist only because institutions or governments say they do. Our answer is that rights are the very thing that we use to judge whether those institutions are acting justly in the first place. If rights only exist when power approves of them, then the rights are not protections against power at all. They're merely descriptions of it. For that reason, and because the freedom to express thought is inherent to human agency and conscious, freedom of speech is a natural right. Thank you.
Right. And last but not least, Zach, final thoughts, sir. 3 minutes to bring it home.
What my opponents fail to realize is that many men much smarter than any of us here today realized this a long time ago. You have no rights absent God to ground them. You have no morality absent God to ground it. The very ideas created by Enlightenment thinkers that exist around the arguments for natural rights, inalienable rights, whatever terminology you want to use, were grounded in a creator deity. Without deity, you have zero grounding for any concept of rights or morality or any of the things that we've discussed here tonight. And everything reduces to societal consensus and preference, as is proven by the body history. Our opponents failed to demonstrate natural rights exist absent God, or even if, and they didn't even try to make an argument for God grounding them. They failed to demonstrate that freedom of speech is such a natural right. They made a lot of assertions and asked a lot of questions about the consequences of the negative position, but they never proved anything. It was just a lot of, well, if rights don't exist, is that a world you want to live in? Yeah, but that doesn't prove it exists. You're asking about the consequences of a chain of deduction. You're not making an argument. I cede my time.
Okay. Right on. Well, so I got to say this debate was exactly as fucking interesting as I hoped it would be, but it was also just as infuriating as I hoped it would be. So that said, I'm going to drop the link for everybody to vote here in chat. But I also, if you guys have any questions, I'm not going to ask any of my fucking questions until you guys are done voting, because I do not want to influence the outcome of this at all. But good God almighty, I've been sitting over here chewing on my fucking pen. Because there are so many thoughts. And I was watching the chat, and y'all hit on some of them, but I need you guys to decide who you think made the most persuasive case. Again, that is what we do here. We're not voting for who we like or who we think is the cutest or who we agree with. We are voting for who made the best arguments tonight. And I do understand that it's especially difficult when it comes to a 3v3, but that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this with just the audience instead of having judges here, because you have to weigh out the benefits of one against the detriment to another. So, which team as a group worked best together? Which team as a group made the most cohesive arguments? I will also tell you, and I'm not going to say which team is which, but it was fun for me to see because I'm in the background watching the debate, like their chat. I'm not actually reading what they're chatting to each other. All I see is the fact that one team had 31 messages to each other in the course of that debate. The other team had 151. So I'm curious to see which of those two teams actually pulls it off. So that said, you guys saw that link. Tyler is not at his desk. Is anybody else streaming on YouTube? I don't know if Tyler is actually live over on YouTube or not. So I'm going to go ahead and put the thing into his thing. Oh, you know what? Let's go look. Let's go see. Is there a Tyler live on Twitch? I'm sorry, on Discord. Does anybody else follow him? Nope, I don't see him. Okay, so there you go. All right, well then it's just over here. Oh, no. I did not mean to make you feel bad, Bisky. I'm sorry. That was the last thing I was trying to do. Tyler, are you streaming on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, here, then I'm going to go ahead and give you the link into the chat room. So you should be able to put that over into your chat as well. But doesn't seem like there's going to be too many questions coming in, so I'm just going to focus on telling you guys that this was an absolutely amazing debate. All 6 of you guys did a great job, and I really wanted to be in this debate myself. So I'm glad that you guys did it justice. It did not go to some of the places that I expected it to, and it definitely went to some places that I expected it to just really, really late. So, possibly. I mean, well, which question? That was 2 questions. Which one am I answering first?
The link.
Okay, gotcha. Here, you know what I'll do? I will put it into y'all's group chat. There you go. You definitely can see that one. All right. Now,
Ancom actually
we're gonna give that
with our team strategy.
Yeah, really. So that's the other thing. So
I would say it was like Zach and I both I think started out with that strategy. So
I had to come down a bit because I actually believe in natural rights.
Love that. So yeah, okay. Yeah, again, I really want to fucking get into this with you guys. So you motherfuckers need to vote quick, please, because I'm not going to give it too long. How many? Oh, we got a lot of people. Okay, we do get a question. Good. Okay, you know what? That'll take us a little bit of time. So for the purposes of this part of the judgment, I'm going to go through each and every one of you guys and ask this question. We got a question from Razor, actually. So real quick, super succinct, a minute or less. Castle, what do you consider to be rights, and where do you feel that they what do you feel gives them? Where do you feel that they come from? What are rights and where do they come from? There you go.
Okay. What do I feel like are rights? I think, what we kind of mentioned too is the right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, what our founding fathers have said, and then also just like the right to life. I believe in the right of speech, personally. Where they come from, I know that we have already gone philosophical, but I really do believe in natural rights and that we are born with certain rights. It's up to governments to decide how they want us to use those natural rights. And I think we debated that already, but I think we're literally born with certain inalienable rights. And then some rights are granted to us by the government. So it just depends what you're talking about. The ones I mentioned at the beginning, I believe that are inherent and natural to us. And then there are other rights that aren't. But I believe a lot of those, we're just born with them as human beings.
Tyler, what do you consider to be rights, and where do you think they come from?
I misspoke a second ago. I don't believe in natural rights. I believe in like a shared objective morality. It's a little bit different. So
sure.
So I believe rights literally do come from the government. The government is a collection, conglomerate of the people in this particular instance, and that's why our rights are so good. But if you look at the rights and privileges of other people, rights being defined as legal or social rules or entitlements. And those, to me, who sets the rules, who makes the entitlements in every circumstance, that's the rulers, that's the government. So to me, rights are just a different type of structural rule that works a different way. We have dozens of them, laws, regulations, fucking civil codes and tort law, and the president can do 5 different things and the Congress can do 8 different things. We just, like all these things are out there with their distinctive differences, but at the end of the day, government's supposed to control them all, in my opinion.
All right. So now, Circa, what are rights and where do they come from?
There's different kinds. So there's civil rights, there's natural rights, at least in the writings, right? And then inalienable rights. Civil rights are going to be what a government recognizes and enforces, and a natural right is what a government must answer to. There.
Okay. Yeah. Nice and clean. Ancom, what are rights and where do they come from?
I finally found the message I put in chat, which I think summed it up nicely. So I'm just going to read that. What is a right but a promise by the holder of the monopoly of violence that they will protect your freedoms? Freedoms exist naturally. Rights are commitments made by others to respect those freedoms.
Okay, I feel like that was an answer to the question. Funny enough. How convenient that you saved it for later. All right. Doomer, what are rights and where do they come from?
I think rights can be pretty broad. I think like in specific for this prompt, we're talking about natural rights. So I'll go into more of like the line on where I think the natural rights kind of end versus like other types of rights people think. And that's kind of where I drew one of my distinctions at like independence from governance, like the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, free speech, all those things exist kind of separate from government. But like in the U.S., you also have like a right to interstate travel or whatnot. You know, that can't happen without like state governance being in place. So like that would be like on the other side of that line.
Right. And last but not least, you, Mr. Zach. What are rights? And ooh, shit, I went to you in the wrong time. We just broke TOS, kids, just so you know. According to Twitch, you're allowed to start the stream without a shirt on, but you can't take it off on stream. So I apologize, and I'm officially admonishing you. Also, you're muted. So what are rights, and where do they come from, shirtless man?
I'm sorry, it's just so hot in here. I live in Mississippi, bro.
I hear you, man. I know. Like I said, I have to publicly say you're not allowed to do that, and so don't do it again.
Shame.
You can take it off when we're not looking at you. All right, go on.
All right, what was your question again, sir? Sorry.
What are rights? What are rights, and where do they come from?
Well, my actual sincerely held position is that rights do exist in the sense that they are grounded in God. The God of Abraham, the great I Am, created us in his image. We are all image bearers of God, and therefore we have duties that we derive our rights from. So we have a duty to behave in an upright manner to honor God's image. And from that, we derive that everyone has certain rights that are a result of the honoring of their duties. You have a right to exercise your God-given abilities in a forthright, upright, and moral manner according to God's law.
Good stuff. Well, so actually, funny enough, the next question was also for you. Oh, why is it all the way up there? It's supposed to be down there. I'm sorry, guys. You couldn't even see the fun little thing. All right, cool. So the next question was actually for you as well. Anonymous for Zach. If rights aren't real because states don't universally enforce them, does that mean that slavery was morally legitimate for most of human history since states universally permitted it or enforced it?
From a secular or atheist point of view, there's nothing wrong with slavery.
Okay. I feel like that was kind of a dodge, but okay.
You want me to answer it again?
Yeah. Well, let me ask the question again. Yeah, let me ask the question again and make sure, because again, they paid good money for this question.
Yeah, I'll answer it again.
If rights aren't real because states don't universally enforce them, I believe that was the thing that you said. Does that mean that slavery was morally legitimate for most of human history since states universally permitted or enforced it?
Not according to a Christian view.
Okay. All right. I see. So the states being non-Christian states was what caused the separation there. All right.
Islamic countries still, there's more slaves alive on the planet today than there was in the year 1800 or 1700 or 1600. Most of them exist in Islamic and African countries. Christianized countries got rid of that shit because my God says it's evil.
I would, before we're done, and this is more for the after party, but I see other people in chat disagreeing. I would love to know the scriptures that you're referring to where that says in the Bible. I believe you. I would like to hear and be able to read those in the after party. So if you want to take a few minutes and find out where those exact scriptures are. We have one more question that came in from chat. When we talk about free speech, do you truly think that it is free, or is there a cost to your speech? And if so, who collects that payment? Okay, it's sort of a deep question there, but we'll go back through one more time because we've got just a couple more minutes here that I'm going to give everybody to vote. Please, everybody, make sure that you are voting. There's the straw poll one more time. Castle, is speech actually free? Or do you have to pay for it? Is there a cost? And if so, where does that payment go?
I mean, if you're asking if speech is actually free in our society in the US right now, or in general, I could give you two different answers there. I think in terms of where we're at as a society, obviously there's limits imposed by the government on what we are allowed and not allowed to say. So if you're a free speech absolutist, which was not our point, by the way. But if you're a free speech absolutist, you could absolutely say that there is a price to pay for you to say absolutely anything in this country or in other countries around the world. So if that's one part of my answer. Obviously, we believe that free speech is a natural right. So we're just saying it exists as a natural right. It doesn't mean that the way we view free speech today and the First Amendment views free speech means that there are no consequences to that. So hopefully that answers that question. Horst, if you think I need to add more there, let me know. Okay. Cool.
No, I think that's exactly what I wanted to hear. All right, same thing to you now, Tyler. Is speech free? Does free speech exist? Is speech free? And if not, or if so, like who pays the toll and who collects the toll?
Well, generally when we say free speech and we talk about these rights, we talk about them existing so long as they don't infringe upon another's rights. And I think that's the only legitimate way that rights can exist for everybody, is if there's some sort of standard to say that they're limited to not infringing the rights of another individual. You can swing your fist as much as you want, as long as you don't hit me, essentially. So I'd argue understanding the necessary confines in order for it to maintain this status quo, as good as we can have it, speech is free, yes. And it's maintained by essentially the government, because they're the ones that set these rules up, kept them in place, enforced them, and changed them based on the will of the voter.
Circa, is speech actually free? Is there someone who collects a fee? Go ahead.
I kind of want you to expand on that question.
All right, I will reread the actual question. Do you truly think that speech is free, or is there a cost to your speech? And if so, who collects that payment? Now, I will articulate it better if you need me to. I'm sure that this was sort of a double entendre for the word free, right? So, number one, are there consequences? Are those obviously probably not financial consequences, unless you believe that our taxation is our entry fee for our protected rights from the government. Alternatively, do you believe that I'm actually allowed to say whatever I want to, barring the consequences of those words?
Under our definition, you are not. So the idea of speech as a natural right is a framework in which I was hoping Tyler would, and I could come to a good discussion of what Locke actually says, because Locke actually states it like this, that man exists within a state of nature before government and is subject to the laws of nature. And then natural liberty is freedom from arbitrary power or lawless license. And government restrains these things partially and has restrains partiality and arbitrary domination, is what he says. And then what would happen here, at least under our definition, is if someone, it's kind of Tyler's argument as well, where we have like a standard, but it's kind of our definition here. We have a normative. Just happened to my fucking mic.
No, we're hearing you.
Okay, sorry, it's on my stream then. I'll just keep going. The natural right is built upon this idea that there is a laws of nature which exists independently of government, and when someone goes against the laws of nature on someone else in a justifiable way, there's generic and then there's special executions of these rights, okay? Then you are now enacting a state of war, is what he calls it. He calls it a state of war. So if you are essentially inhibiting the rights, like what Tyler mentioned, of someone else in a justifiable way that you have a moral claim on, which has to be able to be expanded to all men. So it's the reason why calling someone a Jew is not a justifiable claim, because it must be an actual legitimate reason, like something that can ground it, right? And then be extrapolated to all men. Then you are now not acting with a natural right. You're enacting on a state of war, is what he calls it, state of war. So all speech is not just randomly free in our definition by any means. I also could probably talk about heart, but I think I've rambled long enough.
All right, fair. Ancom, sir, is speech actually free? If not, who collects the fees?
This is mistaking the definition, the dual definitions of the word free. So there's free in the sense of has no cost, and there's free in the sense of the term, the Latin libre, meaning freedom to do something. So the problem is the question is conflating the two meanings. I would say that from a libre, freedom to do it, yeah, it has no direct cost. I don't have to pay anyone to say something. Doesn't mean it's free from consequences, which is another sense of the word free. So yeah.
Right. Doomer, are rights free?
Depends on which way you view it, I guess. There's always that classical economic sense, like there's no free lunch. And then in other senses, like there may be some costs, like society-wise, to exercising some rights, but ideally the government with restrictions shouldn't unjustly be limiting your rights. I don't know if that's an answer that they were looking for, but
Sure, it's good enough for now. Adventurous, is speech free? If not, who collects the charges?
I actually really like Ancom's answer. It's a category error and a definitional error. A lot of words are the exact same word but have very different meanings. Free, as in free of an economic cost, is not the same thing as free to do. It's just it's a silly ass question. It's a question a child would ask.
Okay, right on. So I guess that means that the word natural could also have different uses and or meanings, right? But we'll get to that in the after party here in a second, because I'm going to be a child about that word. All right, so everybody please lock in your votes. I knew that was the double meaning. That's why I didn't need you to explain to me, Grazer. I appreciate you, brother. And I was trying to not extrapolate or pull out the meaning or the double entendre there. I was hoping that they would play on it on their own. But Circa needed Mr. Literal, so I gave it to him. Okay, so last couple of seconds, we're going to look and see which one of y'all won this. I have not even peeked yet, so I have no idea if the voting is even close. But I'm going to make my prediction now that I'm about to look. I really should start voting myself, actually, but I haven't yet. So, you know what? I'm going to guess this is going to go to the negative. My money is on the negative if I was a betting man. So 3, 2, 1, show results. Fucking dead tie. Oh my God. Okay, well, no, we don't do ties. 17 votes for the negative. 17 votes for the negative, 16 votes for the affirmative, 1 vote off from a 50-50 split to the negative team, and I get my money, please. Yay. All right. Thank you all. That was a fucking blast. This is a prompt that I very seriously have some feelings about, as you guys can clearly tell. And there were several things that I felt like did not get said. But those of you out in the chat, if you guys would like to, if you are part of the Discord server, first of all, excuse me, let me say my goodbyes. Gentlemen, any of you who have to go, please feel free. I understand. I thank you all for your participation tonight. Every single one of you guys did an amazing job. I'm fortunate every single time that I get to hang out with any of y'all. But tonight in particular, I was looking forward to it because this is 6 of the best debaters in the DMZ. And so I was super stoked. And again, as I said, this was such a good and important prompt that I've been looking forward to this all day. So that said, the rest of this is not going to be on the VOD. The rest of this, you have to be here live or a Twitch sub, and even then you only get to see it for a couple of weeks. But you guys have already seen their socials. I will probably try to drop them in the after party and trickle them out as well. But thanks everybody for showing up to the DMZ this week. We're going to be back tomorrow night with 3 1v1 night. And funny enough, if you guys enjoyed what you saw tonight, Tyler and Doomer are actually going to be at the headline tomorrow night. The two of them will be debating against each other, a judge v. judge match. But we're also going to have a grudge match between Lethe and Gorps. which I'm looking forward to just as much. And then, of course, we also have a new debater. Someone named Lucy Hayes is going to be going against Energy. So that's going to be a fun way to kick the night off. So tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everybody, please tune in. I promise you will not be disappointed. Now, fuck me, I'm going to let y'all have it. Why is it?
Hold on.
Why is it? I've been waiting so long. Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
No, go ahead, Encom.
No, after you ask this, I want to talk one-on-one with Circa for a bit because we're having a bit of a tiff where we're in the chat, and I think the chat format was failing us. So I want to have this discussion out in real time to get a better idea of what's trying to be said. You go first.
Fuck that. No. Are you saying to me that you want to do a special one-off debate between you two? I've got 5 minutes on the clock, homie. I know it's a discussion. I'm being a smartass. Nope.
Thing. Okay.
I'm putting a timer on it just to be reasonable, but y'all just go ahead. I would like to hear y'all.
Okay, cool. I'll be back.
So let me go back up to the question you asked, just because. All right. So. Where was it? Okay. So, you said, I have a claim against unjust coercive suppression because I am a rational and morally responsible agent. And I respond to that I would ask what grounds the ideas of rational and responsible, but generally using the intuitive understanding of those terms, I would agree. And then you acted as if I was rejecting your thing when I said I agree, but then you're saying that I was conceding, despite the fact that you and I clearly have very different definitions of what a natural right would be. So you can't say that I concede with your description when I don't agree with your definition, and that's where I'm having trouble.
It's a basic, normative, moral claim rooted in human nature, rational agency, and moral responsibility.
All right, so let's pick those apart. First one, human nature. Because if these were not in fact separate, you wouldn't need to actually say all of them. So that's why I'm taking them separately. Human nature. So if natural rights were part of human nature, then wouldn't the vast majority of people agree on the vast majority of rights?
Wait. My natural rights, the definition, is rooted in human nature, not the other way around.
Yes, so if natural rights were rooted in human nature, then you would expect human nature to lead to the vast majority of humans agreeing on the vast majority of what natural rights are, but we do not see that.
I don't think so.
That's what it means for something to be human nature. It is intrinsic to what it is to be a human.
Yeah,
so either
like
it's not actually rooted in human nature, or
freedom, right? Freedom is kind of your moral ground.
Freedom is a state of being, yeah.
Okay, so you would call that human nature, right?
I would say that freedom is part of human nature, and that it is intrinsic. I would say technically it's. Well, then I would say technically it is part of the nature of all life, but
it is an exercise in rational agency, right?
I like Ron Paul.
What is? Sorry.
Freedom. Your definition.
I would say that rational agency would be an exercise of freedom, not the other way around, but sure.
Exactly. You're rooting freedom, this idea, in rational agency, right? Like
no, I'm rooting the concept of rational agency in the observable fact of freedom. I'm reversing
natural
the
rights
grounding.
To me, what I'm saying here is that speech is a central way in which an agent can exercise exercise its rational agency.
It is one way in which
which is a freedom in a way now, correct?
Yes. Sure.
So you would be conceding that part of my definition, which kind of
no, because I don't believe freedom and rights are the same thing.
The human nature part is now also satisfied.
Say again?
The human nature part is also satisfied. Because it's
No,
an
I didn't agree to
expression
that.
of freedom.
And like the majority of politicians.
I said that freedom was part of the nature of all forms of life, but it's certainly not rooted exclusively in that. It's an intrinsic property.
I guess maybe I don't know enough, but like it seems like he
I
learns.
don't know
Again,
if I
we're
know.
we're going back to your whole property or powers follow properties thing. So rational agency is a power that follows ontologically or metaphysically rather from the inherent property of
Fauci
freedom.
thing. Have you seen that at
It's
least?
based
Dusty?
on it's
I mean,
based
I've seen
on
him against
Fauci.
Yeah, I've
what
seen, well,
persons
maybe not
are.
that.
okay?
I have seen him. I saw
Rational,
him
morally
flashes
responsible
in,
beings.
in
You need to
Congress
make
when he was,
judgments,
like,
communicate reason,
I would
and
say
answer power.
rational,
I
sure.
thought that
Morally
was the
responsible
main
is a more
player.
dubious claim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
He's
I mean-
the protagonist.
Because
what does that
not
make?
all
It's
humans
literally-
are in
nonetheless,
fact morally
it's still an
responsible.
exercise of rational agency. And I think it is a moral responsibility.
You're
That
probably
assumes
Because,
all morality
Ancom,
is rational
in
in
your
nature.
view,
You're definitely gonna disagree
if
with
the
this now, I'm
government,
thinking more and
in
more about it.
Rousseau's, I'm assuming
I
this is
like
you're
of all
pulling
my
from, where
criticisms of
rights
Not
are
really.
essentially just.
and I have many. I think
I mean,
he
you're
should
using
step
his
down
language
at least
without
3 points
invoking
during his
him, though.
career.
Okay, so
Maybe.
you say that rights-
Rousseau didn't really
rights
come up
are-
with